You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged.
Enjoy!
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mics, another scorcher today, and we've got it all covered here while everyone bakes in the heat. We've got a Sherlock Holmes anniversary to celebrate. Could he be the most enduring fictional character ever? Not mythical character, as Porky keeps calling him. We're also talking trees. Apparently Porky's obsessed with them, waving at him, and we'll be telling you how your eating habits could be killing the planet. Also, of course, it's another edition of Porky Vision, the world's greatest television review. Mr. Parry will be unveiling all of that coming up a little bit later on. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. Time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike, as well.
It's very hot weather.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's very difficult to keep cool. From the moment I get out of the shower, which is normally...
It's not an image I want to have in my head.
No, OK, well...
Thank you anyway.
Well, there's plenty of images of me in my Speedos out in Mallorca with yourself, you know. Which, incidentally...
Luckily not Speedos.
A load of people have been looking at overnight. It's very kind of you. Thank you to all our audience for indulging themselves in my diving prowess at the side of a swimming pool. But no, what I was going to say is, from the time I come out of the shower at about 5:30, right, you're wet when you come out of a shower, and if you haven't got air conditioning, which I don't have in my apartment...
You haven't got air conditioning?
No, why would you have air conditioning?
What sort of slum do you live in?
For a week a year.
You say it's a penthouse.
Yeah, but no homes in this country have air conditioning.
That's not true.
No, they don't.
Incorrect.
Very, very few.
Well, if you're in the bracket in which you claim to be,
yes,
you should have air conditioning.
Well, if you've got sliding windows all over the place, you see, you rely on the breeze to cool the place down most of the time. But at that time of the morning, there's no breeze. But anyway, the point is, so I come out at 5:30, right?
Yeah, what time did you get in today?
Here about 7, OK. And
the reason I ask you that is because you were spotted on the street.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, there's a picture
What's
of
this?
you. Right here.
No, so what's that? So why
Charlie
people taking a picture of me?
Taking a picture of you, waiting apparently at a bus stop.
At a bus stop, yes, that's right.
On Southwark Street.
That's right, absolutely right. And do you know why?
At approximately 7:20.
7:20?
Yeah. You said you got into work at 7.
Well, in the 7 hour, put it that way.
In the 7 hour?
In the first half of the 7 hour.
Uh-huh.
No, hang on, that can't be today.
Yeah, it is.
Have a look at the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same shirt you're wearing now.
Is it?
Yeah.
OK, well, I'm surprised about that.
You wear the same shirt every day anyway because you've got about 20 versions of the same shirt.
No, I don't wear the same shirt
I
every
don't
day.
mean the same physical
No, exactly.
shirt. The shirt looks exactly the same. Is it an Italian one today?
No, it's not Italian.
No?
I got it from...
Is it a Pierre Cardin?
No, I got it from Debenhams. Anyway, listen, the point of my story, so that's 7:20, OK, I must have been about 7:30 then, something like that. Now, the reason I'm waiting at a bus stop is not because I particularly favour buses, but because it's so hot, I refuse to walk down Southwark Street from London Bridge Station because by the time I arrive here, I'm like a wet rag.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
It's also too much information.
No.
You don't want to hear that kind of thing.
No, they do. So...
That's two images now that I don't want in my head.
Right.
One, coming out of the shower. Two, you like a wet rag.
Yeah. So anyway, so you get into your place of work and then you try and cool off, but it is extremely difficult in this sort of weather.
Yeah.
So what I'm advising people to do is minimum effort at the moment. You don't need to put in physical effort in this sort of weather. You will naturally lose weight just by the humidity factor in the air.
What about sugar intake?
Sugar intake?
Yeah. During the hot weather.
What about it?
Well, should you take a lot of sugar or not so much? Why don't you have an answer for this?
Well, because I'm trying to work out what the motive for this question
is.
everyone
has to... Well, there's no motive for it.
There is, yeah.
I'm just asking you.
You should. I tell you, you should take, right? You should eat loads of crisps, nuts, and put loads of salt on your chips.
You have to replace salt because of
you do, you do, yeah.
But I'm just wondering if sugar is as good for you or not.
Well,
in the heat.
Sugar's okay for you at any time.
Is it?
We need sugar in the body. I mean, people don't understand that, you know. What people don't... By the way, I saw another headline this morning, you know, one of our revered newspapers, the ones you and I used to work in, about the children obesity epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
Now, an epidemic is something...
They've been going on about this for years.
No, but what I'm saying is, why do people misuse that word so much? An epidemic...
Well, actually, two misuses of words, because obesity is misused, as is epidemic.
Exactly. But the obesity epidemic, an epidemic is usually something like some kind of dreadful disease, like the Black Plague, OK?
Yeah,
that was an epidemic.
The Black Death.
Yeah, the Black Death.
Or the Plague.
Yeah, that's right,
The Black Plague.
Well, whatever. and bring out your dead and all that, you know?
Figure out you're dead.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And
bubonic plague, I think it was, wasn't it?
I think it was bubonic, yeah. It wiped out 1/3 of Europe anyway, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you couldn't help getting that. Once you got the boils coming up on your neck, you were as good as dead.
That's another image I don't want.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the only recourse then was to go and break into somebody else's house and drink all their alcohol, because that way you got a painless death.
Yes.
Any other way, it's very painful. It's horrible, you know, big boils full of horrible fluid and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But anyway, the point of the story is that was an epidemic because there was nothing you could do to stop.
Or was that not a pandemic?
No, a pandemic is an epidemic that comes for the first time, okay?
Oh, is it?
That's what a pandemic is,
Are you sure?
Absolutely certain.
Right.
Absolutely certain.
Okay.
That's the difference between a pandemic and an epidemic.
I thought a pandemic was worse than an epidemic.
No. A pandemic is something that strikes without warning, and it's a new disease that we haven't heard of before. That's a pandemic, okay? So what I'm saying is...
So what about this obesity epidemic?
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is obesity can be prevented.
Yeah.
So how can you have an epidemic? Epidemics are things that can't be prevented.
That's
you
true.
See what I mean?
I do see what you mean, yeah.
Utterly ridiculous, you know, the obesity epidemic of young children. Well, I would suggest that bad parenting is responsible for child obesity.
Largely, I would agree with you.
Yeah, and that you can prevent it by stopping your children stuffing 5 packs of crisps into their mouth and chocolate bars and cans of fizzy pop every time they ask for one, okay?
Yeah.
That's my parenting skill lesson, all right?
And how many kids have you got?
What's that got to do with it?
Well, how can you have parenting skills?
What has that got to do with it?
Well, you think you're a parenting expert, but you don't have any experience of parenting.
I didn't say I was a parenting expert. I said it's so blinking obvious.
Yeah, you like handing out advice, though.
Even I, who is not a parent, can sort it out, okay? And also, we're going to examine some foods later on in the show, which have led to world...
Oh, we've got some stuff coming in.
What?
Have we got some stuff coming in?
What do you mean stuff coming in?
Well, you said we're going to examine some foods. I thought you meant you were having some food brought in.
No. We're going to examine the effect that trendy foods are having on the world.
Okay.
So, for instance, people like you who eat this, what's it called? Cacao.
Cacao?
Is it called cacao?
Cacao?
Cocoa? What's it called?
Are you talking about chocolate?
No.
Cacao.
Is it cactus? What's it called?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, trendy foods, right? Including...
Like what?
Well, I'm just telling... Cocus. Is it cocus? Is it cocus?
No, it's cacao, I think. You mean
cacao.
C-A-C-A-O.
That's it, yeah,
which
cacao,
is basically chocolate.
No, it's not, is it? I thought it was like seeds. Cacao seeds. You know those cacao seed things?
I know, I don't know.
Anyway, look, what I was going to say is I can prove now that all it's doing... quinoa it's called. No, it's cacao. Raw refined cocoa,
It's
you're
not
right.
called quinoa.
The Incas, it was discovered by the Incas, and it is called cacao.
Yeah.
Now...
there's a restaurant in Borough Market that specialises in all sorts of food with cacao in it.
Well, chocolate in it?
Yeah.
What restaurant?
I had mashed potatoes with white chocolate.
Ugh.
It was really good, actually.
And I will prove later on in the show that...
It's not quinoa, by the way.
Well, quinoa is another one.
Yeah, it's quinoa.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Quinoa, quinoa, whatever. Trendies like you who eat all this rubbish are causing misery.
I'm not trendy. I'm the least trendy person.
Causing misery to working people all around the world. Like,
right?
for instance, in Mexico, I can prove that people there get paid like 80 American cents an hour to pick something.
Well, how's that my fault?
Pineapples.
How's that my fault?
Well, because the demand in the West results in the production.
Have you been getting briefings from the Kremlin again lately?
I've got
Where have you turned into some kind of mad socialist?
No.
Next you'll be doing a video on the train so you can't get a seat.
It's so unnecessary, because as we were saying to Paul in the opener to this show, 93% of this country used to be covered in forest.
Yeah.
And the more forest you cut down, the less reserve you have for the natural elements of life.
Yeah, we can't grow pineapples here, can we?
Well, no, of course we can't. We haven't
You
got the weather.
You like pineapple cubes in a tin, don't you?
I do, I love them.
So where do you think they come from? Mexico.
Yes.
So actually, you're the one that's killing the planet, not me.
No. Because if we just were happy to settle for a sensible...
Why are you talking slowly?
Well, because I'm working on the facts in my head. A sensible amount of pineapple in the West, then we'd be okay.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we go mad
and
order far too much and throw half it away. That's the point I'm
making.
making.
In Mallorca, when I was there, they have these guys that walk around on the beach with watermelons and pineapples and coconuts.
That's very nice.
And a massive machete. And they do this big show where they chop them up for you.
Yeah, really.
You've seen that?
No. But I have
It's quite impressive.
I have seen coconuts drop off a tree onto the beach below, which is in the Seychelles Islands.
Seychelles, very nice too. See, all that flying's killing the planet as well. You do.
Yeah, I can tell you all about that as well, because actually getting all this exotic food back from where it's grown in places like South America and Southeast Asia and all that is, of course, contributing to the demise of the planet. Yeah. But nobody ever talks about that.
Well, no, people are always talking about it. They talk of nothing else.
And this is all related to the heat.
The planet is going to be around for plenty.
This is all related to the
years.
heat. It's so unnatural for this country to be this hot at this moment. Things will start going wrong very soon.
Well, don't worry. When you go up to Edinburgh, which we're going to on Friday, you'll discover that actually not everywhere is as hot as you think.
Well, thank God for that. I mean, I was looking at the long-term weather forecast. It's 10 degrees cooler in Edinburgh at the moment than it is in London.
It's going to be lovely.
That would do me brilliantly. And by the way, we've got a very busy schedule.
We have.
We're going up there on Friday.
Yeah.
We've got a show on Friday night. Yeah. In between that, we've got to do sound checks and things at the theatre.
Yeah. And have dinner.
And have dinner, yeah. Well,
and find the various flats that we're staying in.
Well, that's true as well, yeah. Have you got me the details of the one I'm in?
I gave them to you.
Yeah, but I've lost them. So
you've lost them?
I need them again, yes.
OK, well, I'll find them again
because
for you.
Apparently I've got to pick up my keys at some fish and chip shop, is it?
No, it's an Italian restaurant.
Oh, Italian restaurant, OK, yeah, that'll do.
Well, that's more convenient, though, because if you have to meet somebody, it's worse. I mean, you can just go to this restaurant any time.
That's good.
A glass of Pinot Grigio, get the keys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, well, that's very good, thank you.
Excellent. Now, we've got lots more coming up. Porky Vision, of course, is the big one today.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing that live on Periscope and Facebook as well.
Oh, yeah, Porky Vision, great, can't wait. What time's that? 11:30? 12:30? 12:30, great.
What do you mean you can't wait? You're doing it.
I know, that's what I mean. Yeah,
do you not know what's in it?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. We are the Two Mics. There will, of course, be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. How much later on, we're not entirely sure, because the podcast department here doesn't seem to be quite as efficient as it might be.
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Any aspersions, but, they can't seem to get a podcast out until the next day, following it for the show finishing at 1 o'clock. And today's podcast, which is yesterday's show, apparently has a sort of an overlay. So there's 4 mics rather than 2.
Oh, is there really?
But just for 10 minutes. Some people quite like it.
Yeah, I think...
They say it makes more sense.
I think 4's better than 2 anyway. And of course, these comments are only born out of the frustrations of our listeners.
They are.
Who are complaining...
Well, it's not helped by the fact that you seem to keep blaming me and alleging that it's all down to me, when in fact it's nothing to do with me.
No, but I have nothing to do with it, so I can't possibly
thank God for
comment
that.
And all that kind of stuff.
If you had anything to do with it, it'd be even worse. Now, several people, including some experts in the field, have pointed out that, in fact, I was correct about pandemics and you were incorrect.
No, don't think
so. A pandemic is worse than an epidemic, and it's generally something that affects multiple continents. That's what a pandemic is.
They're saying a pandemic leaps across oceans and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they're saying that it covers a wider area. It's a much larger problem than an epidemic, which just affects a number of people.
But the true definition of pandemic is something they're unprepared for, because it's happened for the first time. By the way...
Well, I think you're splitting hairs here, because what you're saying, you're using the word pandemic in a different way. But when medical people talk about a pandemic, they mean it's something which is very, very widespread. And is likely to jump continents, as you say.
This chap has put out this picture of me at this bus stop this morning.
Yeah, I know.
A chap called Charlie C.
Where do you think I got it from?
It says Moody Michael waiting for a bus.
Yeah, that's why I showed you.
Why am I moody?
Oh, because you look a bit moody.
No, I don't look moody at all.
Staring off into the distance.
I was looking for the bus.
Yeah. Well, there's usually plenty of buses coming along. Now, it was pointed out to me this morning, as we were availing ourselves of the facilities here at Talk Radio.
Yes. That sounds like the facilities.
The facilities.
What sort of facilities?
Downstairs, the place where you get coffee and toast and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now you were spotted putting sugar into your coffee.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Do you know how many you put in?
5.
9 were counted.
No.
9 bags of sugar
don't be ridiculous.
were counted.
Don't be ridiculous.
No, I'm sorry. The man that told me this was a very reliable source.
Oh, yeah? Who is he?
I can't tell you.
Well, name him.
No, because I don't reveal my sources.
No, I'm taking him to task.
No, I don't reveal my sources. No, he's not.
Barefaced liar.
He said you would deny it.
Yeah.
He said he stood there and watched in absolute amazement as one sachet after another was opened and poured into the cup.
Ah, but you see, that's
1,
No.
2,
correctly,
3,
totally incorrect.
4.
I tore them all off
5.
at the same time, so it's a lie.
Well, he said he watched you do it.
And I want to see the video evidence.
He didn't make video evidence.
No, of course not. You see, just
so
made it up.
this is now your sort of standard defence. Unless there's video evidence, you're going to deny it.
In
which case, I'll just get someone to follow you around with a camera.
No, if it's correct, I will not deny it because I'm an honourable man. If it's incorrect, of course, I will deny it because it's not on.
So you say it was 5.
What?
You say it was 5.
I say it was 5.
Well, 5 sugars is quite a lot for 1 cup of coffee.
Listen, I want to tell you something.
I'm telling you, you're trying to stop jumping off the subject.
Well, all right.
5 sugars.
What else do you want me to say? I seek energy in hot weather. It's simple as that.
Well, that's why I asked you earlier if sugar was a good thing in hot weather.
Well, I mean, the other ways I seek energy sometimes is a large can of Red Bull. What happens then?
That's not good.
They slate me, and you say, "Oh, you could do your head in
what?
there."
You're saying that you take notes of what I say?
I'm not saying I take
You do,
notes of
don't
what
you?
you say, but
You do.
you publicly...
You secretly want to please me.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I couldn't care less about pleasing you.
Look, Jeremy Corbyn's speech is coming up shortly.
But,
you think he's going there by train?
by train. And
What a
if he is,
ridiculous story. This is not the most ridiculous story you've ever heard.
Will he sit on the floor? Well, yes, but is it true? Is it a true story?
Well, I was talking to somebody about this earlier, and whether it's true or not doesn't really matter.
No.
The fact is that Jeremy Corbyn is a man who keeps getting himself in the newspapers for the wrong
All
reasons.
the wrong reasons, yeah.
He shouldn't be front page news for trying to spin a story. I blame that guy, Seamus. Is it Seamus Milne?
Seamus Milne,
who's now his spin doctor, right? He's the same guy.
Yeah.
Who? Do you remember when he had his shadow cabinet sort of meeting?
Yes.
And he decided it'd be a great idea to have it filmed off the wall.
That's right.
A fly on the wall documentary by ITV.
That's right.
And in the midst of it, Jeremy Corbyn turns to him very loudly and sort of calls him over and goes, "I don't think we should be doing this, Seamus."
Yes.
And which made him look a complete fool.
Complete
they then
idiot.
threw the camera crew out, and when the camera crew came back in, everyone was sitting in different places.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
It's like musical chairs, wasn't it? But anyway, the essence of this story for our listeners is that Jeremy Corbyn's on a train. There's a picture of him sitting on the floor next to a loo, by the way.
Yeah.
And the caption insinuates that the state
Well,
of
no,
the
he
railways...
didn't make a video of him talking about how terrible the train service is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no seats.
And they need to renationalise the railways and all that kind of stuff. However, and we all forget about this, people all over the world all the time forget that most things you do in life today are recorded by CCTV, right? Closed-circuit TV cameras. Yeah. And, of course, when Virgin see this, they take umbrage because they've been accused of running a bad train service. Yeah. They film him walking through carriages full of empty seats.
Right. But do you know how ridiculous it got, though? I was watching some of the news reports last night on TV, and people were speculating as to whether or not the seats actually were not empty, but just filled with either children or small people whose heads you couldn't see. That's how crazy the story is.
Oh, right, OK, yeah. Well, I couldn't see any small people, to be honest.
No, I don't normally... Well, they follow you around or anything, do they?
Well, no, exactly, no. Well, I mean, it's quite ridiculous.
But I mean, the point is, it's the actual facts of the story don't matter.
No.
But what Corbyn's managed to do is he's managed to make people feel a bit sorry for a train company, who, as we both know, are, but generally speaking, not very well run. Well, Virgin may be an exception, but, you and I have been up and down the country on trains for years and years and years. But, I mean, people who run train services at the moment are not really, shall we say, in everybody's best books.
But the other thing it does is, as well, it gives us another insight into the way politicians try to peddle their wares these days, right? I mean, as recently as, I would say, John Major. Can you imagine John Major, seriously, ever pulling off a stunt like that? I tell you what, I'll sit on the floor outside the loo, and then I'll talk into a camera, tell everyone what a disgusting train service this is, and then get caught out on CCTV camera. I mean, it's ludicrous.
Because, I mean, various strands of the story have now begun to emerge. One, that he was upset because he couldn't sit next to his wife because there wasn't two seats together.
I tell you what, darling, I'll go and sit on the floor. Yeah. That's right.
Well, why
can't
don't
sit next to you, I'll sit on the floor.
Or somebody else said, why don't you just go up to someone who's sitting in a single seat, where there are two seats, and say, excuse me, would you mind
moving
I'm the leader of the opposition, and I'm with my wife.
That's right,
Would you mind awfully?
I totally agree. I never have these sort of problems on trains,
That's because you travel when nobody else does.
No, well, I also...
You get up at the crack of dawn. You tweeted out this morning at 5:30.
Yes, yeah. So what's wrong with that?
Well, it's too early.
Why is it too early?
Because you should be sleeping.
What's wrong with preparing for a show?
There's nothing wrong with preparing for it, but you don't even prepare for that many hours.
Yeah,
not until 10.
Well, yes, I know, but I mean, I have to be on the ball, mate, and being on the ball...
I know you struggle with the memory retention.
No, I don't struggle with memory retention. I like to get my ducks in a row before I leave the house. So
I thought you went to visit the ducks and fed them.
Well, I do, but I haven't had a chance this week because my duck conservancy... Now, listen, do you know what catfished is?
What?
Catfished.
Catfished. Yes, I do know this, but I've forgotten. We talked about this some time ago.
Right. It's become more and more common. And what it is, catfishing...
Is it something to do with social media?
Yeah, you get taken in by somebody who says they're famous, but in fact they're not. They're a fantasist.
Well, you mean like Donald Trump and Gorbachev?
Yeah, something like that, except it's on social networking. So being catfished is so common in the internet-powered times these days that...
but is it a fraudulent thing?
It's not a fraudulent thing, but one bloke was found to have revealed that he's been secretly dating Katy Perry for 2 years.
Who?
Katy Perry.
No, I didn't mean Katy Perry, the first name.
Oh, some guy,
Oh, right.
some bloke in America who's just suddenly had his life ruined to find out that the person that he thought he was dating for the last 2 years through social media, getting all sorts of nice comments from her.
This is no different.
You know, like
from...
don't tell anybody about our relationship and all that. It's not Katy Perry; it's some nutter.
Right, but it's no different from what goes on in real life and what used to go on more in real life. And my daughter was out in Cyprus recently, right? They were in a club, and some guy came up to her and her friends, claiming to be the brother of the girl from Florence and the Machine.
Oh, yeah.
You heard of Florence and the Machine, haven't
They're
you?
a pop group.
Yeah, you haven't heard of them, have you?
No. But anyway, that
Florence
sounds
and the
like
Machine, yeah. Very good pop group,
Right.
if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
But he claimed to be the brother, right? And, of course, they kind of strung him along for a while and thought, this should be quite good fun because they knew a bit more about Florence and the Machine than he did.
Okay,
And eventually... he coughed to it, and they said, "You're not a brother at all, are you?" He went, "No." He said, "But I've been convincing people of it all night, and I'm doing rather well."
Really? Yeah.
And then they spent the night drinking and having a good time. But
well, I used to tell young ladies in nightclubs in Chester.
see, you're typical of this kind of. But you would do that.
Well, I
You
told.
pretend to be Simon Templar or something.
No, I didn't. I told them all I was Noel Edmonds' brother.
Noel Edmonds' brother.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be his brother?
Well, you know, he was a very popular DJ at the time.
What?
He was. No, he was.
See, that gives us more insight into your weird and twisted world.
Why?
So
Why?
nobody would want to be associated with Noel Edmonds.
No, you got to understand. Noel Edmonds was one of the country's most popular DJs at the time. You know, in fact, he's one of the country's most popular men.
Yeah, but why
he's
would
very
you want to?
suave? You know, he had this
No, he was
three-piece
never
suit
suave.
on. Yeah, he
Rubbish.
was. Yeah, and if you think about it, you know, in the days when my hair was auburn and sort of salt and pepper type beard and all that kind of stuff, very like Noel Edmonds.
Well, you mean how many years ago are we talking about?
Oh, a lot of years ago.
I mean,
So,
how old were you? Let's put it that way.
in my mid-20s.
In your mid-20s?
Yeah.
You pretended to be a celebrity's brother?
No, but this is...
I mean, that's
No.
a personality disorder.
No, you don't understand. It was purely and entirely a pulling operation. You
That
see what I mean?
doesn't mean
You know
it's
what I
all
mean?
right.
Well, think about
That
it.
doesn't mean it's okay.
Hang on. There's not a...
I think that's an offence now.
No, I wasn't trying to be
Well, you're lucky you
fraudulent.
weren't locked up.
No, I wasn't trying to be
Well, you
fraudulent.
were being fraudulent.
No, I wasn't, no.
How many times did it work?
Not often, to be honest.
How many?
Well, you know, it's sort of... No, I just want to have a lot of
That's
drink.
terrible.
Look, put together these combinations. Lots of drink.
Yeah.
Dark nightclub corner, you know what I mean? You know, just stoking up the interest.
Sounds like
you
an
know.
offence to me.
Stoking up the interest, that kind of stuff, you know. But I used to say it as a joke.
No,
I never said it with the intent
That's
of trying to misrepresent myself
That
or
is
fool
appalling.
anybody. No.
Absolutely
Well,
appalling.
you know-
I'll tell you a story about Noel Edmonds in a minute. So look at the time.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're running out of time. We've got lots more coming up. We're going to talk Sherlock Holmes. We're going to talk about trees. And, of course, it's Porky Vision as well. We are the Two Mics.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. We are the Two Mics. There will be, of course, an episode of Porky Vision coming out a little bit later on. We've got lots of tweets coming in asking why you don't know the difference between a pandemic and an epidemic,
Yes.
which is another story altogether.
Yes.
And also, I heard a little story for you about Noel Edmonds. I mean, after that incredible confession of yours, where you basically have admitted to being a fraudulent
Well,
sort of
it was a joke, wasn't
preying on women by making out that you're the brother of somebody famous.
No.
That's
no,
shocking.
it's just
Did any of them ever find out you were lying?
Well, I used to admit at the end of the night, or
What, in the morning? As you were leaving?
No. Or 10 minutes later, that I was just having a joke. I used to tease them. You know, remember our friend Roger Taverner?
Yeah.
Well, I remember being out with him one night when he told everybody he was Don Johnson. You know Don Johnson from Miami Vice?
Miami Vice,
yeah. He went around telling people he was Don Johnson.
Well, a lot of people did that. You just roll your sleeves up and take your socks off.
Well, I didn't take his socks off, but he there was a resemblance there, without a shadow of a doubt. But it was all done for a laugh, man. Come on, you got a sense of humour or what?
Well, I'll tell you what, Noel Edmonds doesn't have a sense of humour.
No, he
and
doesn't,
you
no.
know that from some of the things he's been doing recently.
Exactly, yeah.
He was on the front pages not long ago, claiming that some magic box would cure cancer, wasn't he?
Telling people that it's all in the mind and you don't have to have cancer and all that kind of stuff. Which,
Well, the story I'm going to tell you,
Yes.
I may have told you before, I don't think I've ever said it on the radio.
Right, okay.
I had a friend in Wiltshire who worked for a very famous kitchen manufacturer.
Oh, yes,
right?
yeah.
Very high-end kitchen manufacturer. I don't want to give their name.
Right.
And he worked in the sort of special, shall we say, almost private client area.
Right, okay.
So when a big celebrity would come along,
Yes.
and want the kitchen put in,
Yes.
they would automatically give this guy to them. So
Yeah, I
he
see,
would be
yeah.
the one guy that dealt with him.
Right,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
And he's very tall. This guy, he's about 6'5".
Okay.
And he turned up at Noel Edmonds' house, somewhere in sort of Oxfordshire.
I thought it was in the West Country. I thought he lived down in Devon.
No, it was. He said it was somewhere in sort of, the sort of Thame area or something like that, I think.
Okay.
And beautiful big house, massive driveway, a couple of big expensive cars out front. It was when he was at this peak of when you were impersonating his brother.
So it was probably Mr. Blobby time or something like that.
It might have been.
It might have been earlier. It might have been when he was a BBC DJ or something.
And this guy turned up and Noel Edmonds answered the door and he said he gave him a very funny look.
Yes.
And he said he got the sense that as he was, walking round sort of telling him what he wanted and how many bits of this he wanted and how many bits of that and what finish he wanted and all that, he said he felt distinctly uncomfortable. And when he got back to his office, his boss gave him a call and said, "You come to see me." And he said, "You've been up to see Noel Edmonds today?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, what did you do?" And he said, "I didn't do anything." He said, "I didn't do anything." And he said, "Well, he doesn't."
Apart from doing the job, you mean?
Yeah. He said, "He doesn't want you to come back." He's rung us to say, "Look, whenever you come back out here, please don't come with that man. I don't want to deal with him." And it turned out that the reason he didn't want to deal with him was because he was so tall. Because Noel Edmonds is rather short.
What is he, 5'8" or something like that?
I'm not sure if that might be stretching it, but he's 5'8" like you're 5'8".
Well, I'm 5'8" and 3/4. So you think Noel Edmonds might have been like 5'7", maybe?
He might even be smaller than that.
Oh, really?
And my guy said he was very small.
Well, Sarkozy, who is going to bid
Nicolas?
again. Nicolas Sarkozy is married to Carla Bruni, who is going to bid again to be the
President of France.
President of France. That's right. Yeah.
After Monsieur Hollande loses the next election.
That's right. I mean, he's a short guy. I think he's like 5'5".
And he wears Cuban heels.
Apparently wears Cuban heels, but all his bodyguards are even shorter than him by dictate.
Yeah, by dictate even.
Yeah, exactly, that. Because when you take the pictures and all that kind of stuff,
No, but apparently this is why he said, I don't ever want to see that guy again. And basically it turned out it was because they got to the bottom of it eventually.
Yes.
He just didn't want him because he was too tall.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. That's small man syndrome. Yeah. And lots of people have it. Napoleon had it as well,
Yeah, but that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, it is a bit ridiculous. When
here we go. Jeremy's talking about trains still. Why did you see? The trouble with Corbyn is that he should go up there and say, I'm not going to talk about this.
Yeah.
I was on a train. It was overcrowded. Yeah. I made a statement. That was it. The idea that Virgin are now trying to somehow rubbish it is ridiculous. Let's talk about something which is actually important.
Or he could make a joke, couldn't he? And say,
he can't make a joke, though.
No, he can't. He hasn't got a sense of humour.
Socialists don't have a sense of humour.
That's rather a broad sweeping statement.
Yeah,
but
it's true, though.
Anyway, well, they find it very difficult to talk against themselves.
Yeah. And the proof of that will be in pudding on Twitter, because I'll now get tweeted by loads of Corbynites saying, you horrible man, why are you always picking on him, mainstream media, proving, therefore, they have no sense of humour.
That's right. Now, celebrities, right, you're talking about service and high-end and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, I know somebody who fits televisions for celebrities in their homes. And I'm talking massive televisions, televisions the size of walls, and this kind of thing, and footballers in particular. And once you do one, you get a reputation, and all of a sudden you're getting called up by people,
Well, because that's the way it works, isn't it?
It is the way it works, yeah. So anyway, he goes and fits all the televisions in a very famous footballer's house.
Don't give his name away.
I won't give his name away at all.
Give us a clue.
I'm not going to give any indication, right? So, and the job is done, and everybody's very happy and all that kind of stuff. And then about 10 days later, he gets a call.
Right.
And this is the workman from his company, as you quite rightly say. Yeah. And he says, you've got to go back. And they said, why? He said, well, they're very upset because one of the tellies has fallen off the wall very near to one of the children, small children, Right. He says, well, this is unbelievable stuff. So he goes back. Anyway, he could tell from being the craftsman that he was that what had happened is the child had climbed up. It was a very big television. He climbed up, and he started swinging on the top of the television. Right. He ripped it off the wall and brought some of the masonry out and all that kind of stuff, and it was now lying on the floor. Right. And the footballer tried to make out that television of its own volition. And anyway, to save being blacklisted, they replaced the television in total. The television was worth more than £10,000. Right. And it'd been smashed, and they said,
that's dreadful.
And had to write them a letter.
And what were the parents doing while the child was swinging?
Well, who knows? I've no idea. I think it was in, it's such a big house. It was like, the outer room to the living day kitchen or something like that.
Yeah, but still, if you particularly if you have a big house, you don't let toddlers just wander around at will.
I don't think this kid was a toddler, you see, because you have to be pretty big to pull this off the wall. I think this was like a 6 or 7 year old or something like that.
Well, even then, you wouldn't leave a 6 or 7 year old to wander around the house.
Well, whatever, But anyway, I thought I'd just let you know about that story, okay? Because you need to know about these things.
Yes, no, it's very interesting. Have you got any more like that?
Well, I mean, one abiding thing I take interest in is history, don't you?
Yeah, I do know that.
And I was absolutely fascinated to find out, really thrilled to find out that a little tin has been found, right?
A tin?
A little tin, yeah. And,
what sort of tin?
Well, I was about to tell you, tin. And it's been found in California, and when they opened it up, I mean...
Was it a sealed tin?
It was the sort of tin in which you'd find... can
of peas?
No.
Can of peas?
No, you'd open the tin and you'd find in it like Fisherman's Friend mince. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
The click your tin out, or you might find tobacco in it or something like that. You know what I mean? Anyway, believe it or not,
so it had a lid on it.
Yeah, it had a lid on it. Yeah, and it was
any markings.
No markings, but it was very, very old, very old tin. And they opened it, and when they opened it,
It couldn't be that old, could it?
Hey,
it's not like a Stone Age tin, is it?
No, it's not Stone Age tin. It's a few hundred years old.
You
you could tell it was a few hundred years old. And amazingly and fantastically, when they opened it, they found in it...
Fisherman's Friend?
No, they didn't find any Fisherman's Friends. They found 6 or 7, I think it was 7, small ponytail cuttings off people's hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, were they all the same?
No, they were different.
They tested it all?
Well, this is the point. They're testing them now. But do you know what they think they are?
What?
They think they are the ponytails of the mutineers off the Bounty.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Well, hang on. I mean, if you had a ponytail and you were a sailor,
yes,
that would be quite a sizable ponytail.
No, because they used to grow them just from the scalp, and then just tie them very short, a bit like Andy Carroll. You know what I mean? And then they've cut these off and put them in this tin, and that's what they think they are now.
Blimey.
Yeah. Absolutely, and they think it was some sort of love ritual because they've got some they haven't identified, which appear to be the ponytails off the heads of Polynesian women who, How
many ponytails are in there? How big is this tin? This is a massive tin full of hair.
Quite a big tin.
Did you say they found it underwater?
No, they didn't find it underwater. They found it in a cupboard in California.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but they...
So somebody come into contact with it, maybe, brought it back as a souvenir.
Brought it back from Tahiti.
Right.
And originally, of course, it all happened in the Pitcairn Islands, didn't it, where the mutineers went to.
Would you call it a trinket box?
Yeah, kind of.
Except it's a trinket tin.
Yeah, trinket tin, that's right, yeah. But what they did is then they tried to identify the ponytail to each mutineer, and I had a look at it, and those mutineers, they came to a really sad end, some of them.
Would it be possible to test the DNA of that hair and match it? Because if they didn't have the DNA of the original mutineers, they couldn't match it, could they?
Yes, but the thing is, because the Pitcairn Islanders are all direct descendants of the mutineers, they can get the DNA from living people today to find out if...
That doesn't narrow it down that much, though, does it?
Well, I think it does. It says here, the team will use a new technique called next-generation sequencing to analyse DNA. But that is easier said than done.
Right. Are there any pictures of this hair?
Yes, I've got a picture here for you.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Wow.
In the middle there, see?
Because I suppose hair is hair sort of lasts longer than skin, doesn't it?
Lasts forever.
Without wishing to cause another problem with what people are thinking about.
Yes.
This is what the Pitcairn mutineers ended up as, right?
Yes, that's right.
Edward Young.
Yeah.
This is good. Slept through the mutiny.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But became the leader.
Yeah. James Mills treated the Tahitians badly. He was killed by them in 1793.
Well, they you see, he tried to treat them like, like his personal slaves and all that. They turned around and said,
we're not having
bang.
that.
Yeah.
Isaac Martin refused to join the mutiny, but later changed his mind. Yeah. Killed by the Tahitians.
That's right. They killed him as well, yeah.
William McCoy, his would be your favourite, distilled liquor and became an alcoholic.
That's right, yeah, he did, yeah.
Killed himself by jumping off a cliff.
That's right, yeah. He went mad, apparently.
I don't know why you find it funny.
This is very funny.
Matthew Quintal, executed by Young and John Adams in 1799.
That's right, because he broke all the rules about, the fair society that they're supposed to live in.
John Williams took a woman from a Tahitian and was one of the first men killed.
That's right, yeah. Because
this is my favourite. Yeah. William Brown, one of the kindest men on the island, killed in 1793.
That's right, yeah. It was terrible.
Talk about killing you with kindness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fletcher Christian, of course, the one everybody knows.
Yes.
The leader of the mutiny, killed in 1793. His last words were said to be, "Oh dear."
Yeah, that's right. I thought it was very funny. Yeah. So he's on his. He's obviously been pinned to the ground. And some great Polynesian guy with a spear.
I fear that, much as you overblow most stories, right, and make them into something they're not, I think you've underplayed this. This is a fantastic story.
I know it's a fantastic story.
This is history in the making.
Well, I've just tried to tell you that. It came from one of my historical journals.
Yeah, but most of the rubbish you spout is of no consequence.
No.
This is actually important.
I know it is.
This is really important.
And that's why, when I tell you I'm studying my historical journals at 5:30 in the morning, so that I can come in and talk to you about...
Shouldn't we be talking to an expert about this?
Well, of course we should be talking to an expert about it. It's not easy to find an expert on the mutineers from the Bounty,
they've all been killed.
On the Bounty, yeah.
Well, you would have thought, somebody... Was it Marlon Brando who played Fletcher Christian?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he played him brilliantly, didn't he? And who was the mad Captain Bligh? Wasn't that Gregory Peck?
I might have been, yeah.
But no, I think the Fletcher Christian one's brilliant. You can imagine Fletcher Christian being pinned to the ground, a great Polynesian native with a sword at his throat, saying, Christian, I've had enough of you. You're getting it now. Yeah. Oh, dear.
Yeah. Fabulous story. Well, a fantastic story. We'll have to keep tabs on that because I'll be interested to see what that hair turns out to be.
Indeed.
Because sometimes these things turn out to be a massive hoax, of course.
Yes, it does, yeah. No, this is not a hoax.
Do the number of ponytails match the number of mutineers then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it does, yeah, absolutely.
And so what would be the reason for those ponytails to be put in a tin?
Well, the
Polynesians, maybe?
Well, to match with a Polynesian woman, it could have been a marriage ritual and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that wouldn't be all of them, though, would it?
Well, I don't know. Who knows what the answer is?
Because they would have had a bit of trouble getting the one off the alcoholic who jumped over a cliff, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, but they'd found his body on the rocks below, I suppose. Or maybe they, maybe they only had short ponytails, so when it grew and they wanted to have a haircut, so to speak, they just cut the little ponytail off.
See, I don't think too much. I think it's more likely to have been some kind of deliberate act by the mutineers at some point, like a blood oath or something.
Well, here, let me
put all your hair in one basket, as it were.
I can give you a bit of detail here because
the time, by the way.
Don't worry about the time. It says there is a Pitcairn Island Study Centre in California, which acquired this box. Right. Okay. And it says it's part of a collection which includes a handkerchief said to have belonged to Sarah, daughter of mutineer William McCoy. William McCoy was the alcoholic.
Right.
He drank himself to death, okay?
Right.
Herbert Ford, the centre's director, said, "We need to know the truth, as much as humanly possible, about these locks of hair. The hair is a gift from Joy Allward, wife of the late Maurice Allward, who lives in Hatfield.
Hatfield the North.
Hatfield in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, Hatfield the North.
And what's the name of the road these studios are in?
Hatfields.
Exactly. That's a connection. That's a spooky connection. Who successfully bought the hair at a Sotheby's auction in London in 2000.
So they already believe it to be that, then?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, definitely.
So there's no speculation about it?
Oh, no speculation at all. But they've got to go through a very sophisticated series of DNA testing.
So now it's not such a big story.
It is. It's a
huge
story.
If somebody bought it already at an auction, then obviously we knew what it was.
No. They didn't know what it was when they bought it. You see what I mean?
Well, why would they buy it?
Well, because it only cost a few £100 when they bought it. It's a tin from the mutineers days and all that kind of stuff. What was in the tin that was later discovered.
And there's nothing on the outside of the tin.
Well, it's just like silver. It's a silver tin.
Yeah, but is it? Yeah, that's what I mean. Is it engraved? Is it?
No, it's not engraved. That's the whole point. Okay. That's the whole point. Right. Yeah.
I think we spent enough time on it.
Yeah, so do I as well. But like you say, a fantastic story. That's the sort of things I research. Okay.
Yeah, I understand. Well done.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged.
It's a wonderful night. Gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night. Come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night.
We are the Two Mics. Porky Vision coming up a little bit later on. Don't know what's in it, but it's bound to be the best TV review you've heard this week.
It certainly is.
If not this year.
Is.
Right now, though, such is the power of the Two Mics organisation.
Indeed.
And particularly in conjunction with the boffins behind the glass there. We've got a guest to tell us a bit more about Captain Bligh.
Yes.
And the mutiny on the Bounty.
Yes, indeed.
It is Mr. Richard Fitzwilliams, who I believe is related in some way to one of the players. Richard, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, indeed. Captain Bligh is an ancestor, not direct descent, but a collateral branch of the family, and he has gone down in history as being a monstrous tyrant. I mean, it's an absolutely fascinating story.
It is, and I mean, it's not. I suppose it's long enough ago and far enough away for you not to be slightly embarrassed to have an ancestor like that.
Well, I'm not questioning being embarrassed. The whole debate about mutiny and the Bounty, and just to mention that His Majesty's armed vessel Bounty set sail in 1787 to take from Plymouth breadfruit plants from Tahiti to Jamaica as cheap food for the slaves on the plantations. The commander was Bligh. Under Bligh served his close friend, they'd served twice before together, Fletcher Christian.
Yes.
And it was the chemistry between them, the fact that the bounty arrived very late at Tahiti, had to stay there for nearly 6 months. The mutineers seized the bounty after the ship, 3 weeks after the ship had left Tahiti. And what is fascinating about this story is that there is no other recorded event in naval history where a captain and 18 loyalists were put into the longboat of the Bounty by a mutinous crew led by Fletcher Christian. Subsequently, Bligh took 17 of the 18, 3,618 miles to safety, which is the longest open boat voyage in maritime history.
Yeah.
Christian took those of the mutineers who wished to travel with him, together with their Tahitian partners, finally, in January of 1790, found Pitcairn Island, which became their settlement and their hideaway. It would appear that, apart from John Adams, the only survivor when British ships reached Pitcairn, in interracial strife and quarrels, the mutineers probably died there. Certainly, there were rumours Christian returned to England, but these were never proven. And what we have is this extraordinary story that a collection of hair, which was taken from 18th century pigtails, has arrived in London for analysis, and that could prove it belonged to the mutineers. There's been such debate about this.
Had you heard about this hair tin before?
Well, I had heard recently only that apparently they had it, and apparently it's owned in California and being tested. I mean, the reason that there is such debate about this is Bligh had an appalling press. He had a filthy temper, and there's no doubt he should not have allowed his men to slack on Tahiti whilst they were waiting for the plants to mature to be in a state they could take them to Jamaica. But equally, Christian was an aristocrat. Bligh was middle class, and Fletcher Christian's relations conducted a campaign against Bligh, which vilified him, and it was this that led to reports, never substantiated, that he was cruel and sadistic, whereas he was, in fact, a brilliant seaman, but badly flawed. But there's tremendous debate. I mean, since the mutiny in 1789, there have been some 3,000 books, pamphlets, tracts, and the like, several films with Clark Gable and Marlon Brando and Anthony Hopkins, and the debate still goes on as to the real nature of the relationship between Bligh and Fletcher Christian. In fact, having been friends before, why did they become such enemies so quickly, and the fact also that Bligh had a remarkable career. We know almost too much about Bligh. His career is well documented in the Navy. He rose to Vice Admiral, whereas we know very little about Christian.
So do you share any of his characteristics, Richard?
I think that I share absolutely none of either the good ones. He was a brilliant navigator, no one's disputing that. He was also fine in action. He fought several battles for his country, and I certainly have no warlike side, nor have I got his ferocious, sulphurous temper. Remember, if listeners would remember that we're talking about the 18th century, flogging, press gangs, they forced you to come on board the ship if press gang picked you up, and also very harsh confinements. The facts were even then, because Bligh was so extraordinarily ferocious in his outbursts. He was extremely unpopular, but he had an amazing career. He even ended up as governor of New South Wales, and they had a mutiny which deposed him there.
It's amazing.
The conditions.
Richard, the one intriguing thing is Fletcher Christian, the leader of the mutiny, was killed in 1793. His last words were said to be, "Oh dear." Any idea what was going on at the moment he said, "Oh dear"?
Well, he was about to be killed, wasn't he?
Well, the problem was that he and various mutineers who went with him sailed to find some refuge from what they knew was coming. Though obviously the Royal Navy would hunt them down to the ends of the earth. And the facts where they found Pitcairn, which had been wrongly charted, but the mutineers treated, and we saw this in Richard Bean's recent play, Pitcairn, which was on at the Globe over a year ago.
Yes.
The mutineers treated the Polynesians, there were 6 of them, 9 mutineers, 6 Polynesians. The mutineers had partners, but the Polynesians only shared 3 women. They treated them as slaves, wouldn't let them own land, and interracial strife led, it would appear, to Christian being hacked to death in his garden. Nobody knows his last words, and it has been very disputed because when British ships did finally found Pitcairn, and they heard the story from John Adams, who was the last surviving mutineer. The stories have been very embellished. Nobody really knows a great deal of what went on, and there were reports, though never substantiated, that Christian would have returned to England, where his family, very well connected, and who campaigned against Bligh with his brilliant propaganda war. So you think of Bligh, and he's a monster, a sadist. His family would have welcomed him. So the one thing that this is a splendid saga of the sea. This time we had another movie. We've had 3. What about Russell Crowe as Bligh and Benedict
That would probably work.
That
would probably work.
That would indeed. Why was John Adams not hanged, the last survivor?
It was decided to pardon him because at that time he was Alexander McCoy when he joined. He was one of the 45-member all-volunteer crew who joined the Bounty. Subsequently, he changed his name to John Adams, and on Pitcairn he was looking after the mutineers' wives and children, and he was a man of God. So he'd undergone a transformation, and in fact, in 1815, British warships called at Pitcairn. In 1822, Adams was given a pardon, and of course the Pitcairn Island inhabitants today, and there have been dreadful child abuse scandals there, and unfortunately some of the adult population have been imprisoned in recent years. But Christians' descendants populate Pitcairn. It's the world's smallest colony. Unfortunately, I think some 50 or so people there only. So its existence in the future must be problematic. But one thing that will always remain, and that is debate, and furious debate, because there have been books and endless pamphlets about this, about who was really responsible for the mutiny. Was by the appalling commander, or was he in fact basically diligent?
Who was the good guy and who was the bad guy? That was the
time.
We've
got to stop now. We've got to stop this, Richard. There's going to be a mutiny here at Talk Radio because we are coming up to 11 o'clock.
You're listening to the 2 Mics on Talk Sport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the 2 Mics. Very, very hot out there. I mean, there are parts of the country which probably aren't quite as boiling, but it could be one of the hottest days of the year, something like 31, 32 degrees. Going to be very, very warm indeed, so don't go anywhere if you don't have to. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be talking about Sherlock Holmes, we're going to be talking a little bit more about other items of history, and of course it's Porky Vision coming up as well. The phone number here is 0844 499 1000. You're listening to the 2 Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry. And so, have you seen all the pictures of Mr. Blobby that have been posted?
Well, it's not just Mr. Blobby, but I mean, the first hour's been summed up here by Pete, who says, brilliant first hour, chaps, Captain Bligh, Noel Edmonds' brother confession, and some awful mental images which have shocked old MG.
That's very true.
But then I love this picture that David sent in, and he said a rusty old OXO tin, you know, he sees this old metal tin with, which must have had old OXO cubes in it. And he says, and I think he's, you know, trying to take the mickey out of me here, he says, could this be the mutineer's famous tin? Well, no, but I mean, I get the drift.
Yes, absolutely. Or even the gist.
Yes, the gist.
Now, what about this from Johnny? Because I'm afraid, and I'm sorry to keep boring everyone about the podcast problems that we're having, right?
Yes.
This could go down as the plank of the day question.
Right.
Does anyone know if the podcast is a recorded show? I'm not sure. Well, of course it's recorded.
Well, the
If it
podcast
wasn't
has to be recorded. Even I know that.
Yeah.
Even I know you can't have a live podcast.
I don't think you can. Or
No.
at least if you do it live, you have to call it something else.
Yes, exactly. That's right. You'd have to call it the Periscope podcast or something like that.
Something
wouldn't
like
you?
that, yeah.
See,
Well,
you
it
like
would-
that, don't you?
That's good.
See, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But I think once you've done it live,
Yeah.
it then becomes a podcast, which is then recorded.
Yes, yeah,
Do you
absolutely
know what I
right.
mean? I don't mean to be facetious there, Johnny.
No.
But it's a really daft question. But if you mean is the podcast from an earlier show? Yes, it is. It's from yesterday's show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And yesterday's podcast from the day before.
Where are all these
Not that
pictures
difficult.
of Mr. Blobby then? Eh?
Well, lots of people are sending out pictures of Mr. Blobby, saying, "Is this Porky as Noel Edmonds' brother?"
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see what you
There's
mean.
one there. Look. Hey girls, I'm Noel's brother.
Yeah,
Your
I-
head superimposed on
do you know,
Mr. Blobby's.
That's
body.
very funny. Do you know, I do appreciate people who take time to put those things together. They're very artistic and they lighten up our lives.
Here's another
well
one
done,
of
thank you.
Mr. Blobby falling or being apparently hit by a Rolls Royce.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Do you know what? When
Hey,
I
by the way, talking of cars,
Yes.
I read a story this morning
About the Ferrari?
about the Tesla.
Oh, the Tesla.
No, the new Tesla. Have you not seen
0
this
to
one?
60 in 3 seconds.
It's the fastest car on the planet.
Well, you know,
But apart from two supercars, which are about
Yeah,
the same,
yeah.
but which cost about £1 million each. I think one's a McLaren and one
Yeah.
is a Ferrari.
it's quite amazing. You know, sometimes when we leave this establishment and we wander down a very historic street nearby, don't want to say the name of
Well,
it.
every street in London's historic.
No, but this one in particular, and the
Why?
film units are often there filming things like, Victorian dramas and that kind of stuff.
Really?
Because they're old railway cottages attached
I've
to
never
Waterloo
seen a film
Station.
crew down there.
Oh, I have seen loads of
When?
them. Yeah. Oh, over the years.
Yeah.
Over the years, yeah.
What, filming what?
Victorian dramas.
Victorian
I
dramas.
just keep telling you, Victorian
Yeah,
dramas.
yeah. So that's why I keep asking you what
Yeah,
you mean,
yeah,
because
yeah,
you're obviously
yeah.
flanneling.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
flanneling
you
at all. No, I'm not. But anyway, the point.
Any time a film crew's been down that street is when
Yeah.
they're following you.
No, not at all. Anyway, the point of my story is there's a pub halfway down called the King's Head, which we sometimes.
Why'd you give the names away?
Well, we sometimes visit on the way.
Well, now people
after
are going
the
to
show.
start going there looking for us.
No, they won't. No,
Yeah, they
won't.
will.
There's loads of King's Head.
Yeah, they will.
What do you think the most popular pub name is in the country?
Let me see.
The Red Line.
Is it?
It is the Red Line.
I would have said
Followed by the Queen's Head.
the Queen's Head or the King's Head.
Yeah, no, Queen's Head, Red Line,
Yeah.
and the Victory. Okay, they're the three.
Really?
Right.
What
now
about
then-
the Hare and Hounds or something like that?
No, the Dog and Duck and all that's a bit
or
of
the
a
Bull
myth.
and Bush.
No, I used to know.
I can tell you where there are Hare and Hounds and a Bull and Bush right next to each other.
That would be somewhere. Hang on, I'll tell you. Somewhere near Hampstead.
In Hampstead, yeah.
In Hampstead. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
West Heath Road.
Okay. Now, what I was going to say is, we go down this road, don't we? And what was I talking about this for?
I've no
we
idea.
go down this road.
I've absolutely
near
no
to us
idea.
here. Yeah. I was telling you the houses, right? Now the houses there are basically what used to be railway workers' cottages. Okay.
Right.
And I went to have a look at one a few years back, and I couldn't believe when I was asked to pay $530,000 for it because it's basically 2 up, 2 down.
No, there was $1 million that they said it was.
Well, I'm about to say to you, it was when I went to look at it a few years ago. It was 530,000.
Yeah.
That was about 5 years ago. No joke. Okay.
no, it was $1 million about 5
No,
years
it
ago. 'cause
wasn't.
I was with you.
No, it wasn't.
I was with you.
Well, we've got our wires crossed
No,
here.
no, we haven't. Because
went
I'll
up-
tell you exactly what happened.
It
I'll
went
tell
from
you exactly what
$500,000
happened.
to $1 million in 5 years.
Well, then you must have been 10 years ago.
Well, it must be, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I was standing with you in that very pub,
Right.
And we were talking about the idea that one of
yes.
these places that we walked past was for sale.
Yes.
And you said, I think I'll go and have a look at it.
Yeah.
And you went to have a look at it and you
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah, that was 1.1 million, actually.
And that was 1.1
You're right.
million.
Absolutely.
And
You're
that was
absolutely
5
right.
years ago. So now it's probably 1.5.
Yeah, but 5 years before that, it was 530,000. Anyway, the point of my story is...
Man of the people.
Yeah, exactly. So when we walk down that road sometimes, very narrow road, there's 3 amazing cars in that road, okay?
Citroens.
Well, there's some very old Citroens from some chap who obviously collects them,
Yeah.
you know, and they're the sort of Citroens you'd see in the Day of the Jackal,
Yeah.
you know, with Charles de Gaulle driving around,
Yeah.
and they're that old, you know. But the other one is an F-Type Jaguar,
Yeah.
driven by a lady of advancing years.
Oh, yeah.
I see her getting in and out of it all the time. It's
Yeah.
amazing. You
Why
know.
is that amazing?
Well,
Why
because
shouldn't a woman drive a Jaguar sports car?
because you normally associate an F-Type Jag.
No, you wouldn't.
With a
No.
young man.
No.
Yes, you
no,
would.
you would.
Yeah, well,
because
yeah.
that's the way you think.
Yeah.
But why would you not see an elderly woman driving it?
Well, you just don't normally. You know, well, elderly women normally drive like, I don't know, sort of Morris Minors and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But anyway, the point of the story
Ridiculous.
is that's one great car. The other one.
Well, it's not a particularly unusual car.
Well, yeah, but to see it in that environment,
You're just shocked because
a
an
little
old
narrow
woman's driving
street.
it.
Yeah. Now the second one is a gigantic S-Class Mercedes, a black one. Okay,
Gigantic.
They're gigantic. Those
You sure
cars.
it's not just waiting for somebody, that one?
Oh no!
I've never seen it parked there.
No, I've seen it a few times. It's parked there. But the third one I was about to tell you about. And I'm puzzling in my head because I can spot the make of a car from half a mile away. You know what I mean?
Really?
Instantly.
Seems unlikely. I think you're slightly exaggerating.
From its radiator or its bonnet or, its light
well, that's not a particularly
design
special skill.
or whatever. But anyway.
Or its insignia.
I'm getting, yes, that's right. I'm getting closer and closer. I'm thinking, what is it? Anyway, it's a massive car and it's got 4 doors and it's a real limo. And I had a closer look.
A real limo?
Yeah.
4 doors?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Excuse me. And it is a Tesla.
It is a Tesla.
It's a Tesla, yeah.
It's a Tesla saloon.
Yeah, Tesla saloon. Now, the point is...
And that's one that you don't recognise because it's very, very new. The insignia, when you look at it, you go, I don't know what that is.
That's exactly it. And it's got is it like an arrowhead insignia?
It's almost an arrowhead,
That's right,
very similar.
And so then I'm thinking to myself, hang on, is this the electric car? It's an electric car, right?
Yeah.
So how does he juice it up?
What do you mean?
How do you juice up a Tesla?
Well, it's you see those little power points.
Yeah, but I don't see one in that street. That's the point I'm making. There isn't one.
Well, there isn't one in every street.
No,
but
exactly.
the guy who owns Tesla,
yes,
who's a fascinating character in his own right, he's talking about Elon Musk. His name is right. Yeah. He's talking about the fact that in the future, when people look at petrol cars and diesel cars, they will look at them rather like we look at steam engines now,
right?
Whereby they're sort of quite sort of romantic and quite grand, but you won't believe that people used to drive around in them, because he says that all cars will be electric. That's his kind of dream.
Yes.
And the fact is that when people like Jeremy Clarkson used to make fun of electric cars.
Yes.
I remember he did that thing. I can't remember whose electric car it was, but it ran out of steam.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
ran out of electricity.
Like 23 miles up the motorway.
23 miles up the motorway, and then they disputed it, and there was a lawsuit, and
that's
all kinds of things happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's now produced a car which he's going to sell for 90,000 quid, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
But I mean, it's in the same market as, say, an Aston Martin or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's completely electric. So what you do is you plug the thing in, and the battery runs for a certain period of time, and then when it's low, you recharge it.
Like
Simple as that.
So you go into a service
It's a
station.
bit like recharging your phone.
Yeah, so you go into a service station as you would to fill it up with petrol or diesel, but instead you wire it in.
No, you don't do it like that, because if you did that, you'd have to stay at the petrol station for several hours. I mean, the point is that you charge it, say, overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes if you walk down to the cut there, there's one there. A charging point, you'll see a car hooked up to it.
But I couldn't point out to you more than 2 electric chargers in the whole of London.
Well, that's because you're not very observant.
No, I'm observant,
and you're not looking for them.
They have a purpley blue light on the top,
blue
don't
light,
they?
yes.
Yeah. Well, you don't see many of those around.
Well,
you really
don't notice them too much during the day, but you do at night. I mean, I can tell you there are 2 within walking distance of this office.
Okay. Now, if you're at home when you've got your car parked on your driveway. Yeah. Surely there must be a way of charging it from your own electricity supply in your house.
Well, funnily enough, I was walking down a street once, I think it was in Chiswick,
yeah,
and there's a little car called a G-Wiz. Have you seen those?
No.
It's a bit like a smart car, but it looks even smaller and more horrible. Mm-hmm. And it looks like a sort of little scooter.
Like a box on wheels.
Yeah, really ugly. But as I was walking down, there was I noticed there was a plug.
Right.
Or it was plugged into a wire, and the wire went down the side of the car, across the pavement, and I followed it, and it went into the house.
Right.
So they were obviously charging it from their own electricity supply inside the house.
Yeah, but I mean, that's amazing. You take your car home, and literally you jump out, and then you just literally pull a cord out of the wall that's on a pulley and stick it into your car.
Well, I would imagine that if...
That must be the future, surely.
Well, the future, I would imagine, would be Elon Musk saying that on every street where you've got a parking bay, you've got a charging point. So wherever you pull in, whether you're parking for an hour or half an hour, whatever it is, you can plug your car in. And that would make sense.
Well,
and it works on a credit card.
That is revolutionary.
I think that's the way forward. I mean, I would never have thought I would want an electric car, but actually now I do.
So
I'd like you to buy me one of these.
Right. Now, you know where the engine is?
Don't bypass that.
What?
I'd like you to buy me one of these electric cars.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of things you like in life, but...
No, I would quite like you to buy me a new car, because you give me such a hard time about the old car.
Scotch mist, mate.
I think you should get me... No, because it would also be tax deductible, because it would be for research purposes,
Scotch
right?
mist.
For the 2 mics.
Yeah, it's not a bad
2
idea.
mics car, we have an electric car.
Okay, maybe we'll travel to...
Because, we've got to go on all our jaunts up and down the country.
It won't really matter in years to come, because we won't have a driver in the car anyway.
Have you seen the time, by the way?
Well, you keep whittering on about this rubbish.
What rubbish? rubbish.
Where in a
Well, the
conventional...
difference between me and you is I talk about the future.
Yeah.
You talk about the past.
Yeah, but the past is more interesting than the future because the past has
No, it
happened
isn't.
and the future hasn't.
Well, that's what makes it more interesting.
In a conventional car where there is a huge area of engine in the front of the car, what is there in an electric car?
What?
What replaces that space in an electric
What,
car?
you don't think it's got an engine?
Well, of course it hasn't if it's an electric car.
It's got an engine,
Yeah.
but it's just not driven by fossil fuel.
Yeah.
It's driven by electricity.
Yeah, but it doesn't look anything like a petrol
Yeah, it does.
injection engine.
Yeah, of course it does.
Of course it doesn't, because there's no petrol to inject into it.
So what do you think an electric car's engine looks like then? Just a box full of nothing?
No, I'll tell you what it looks
Or
like.
a magic box with like sort of weird
No.
Frankenstein-esque lightning
No,
bolts
you
going through
idiot. When you were a kid, did you never pull your scale electric car
I
apart?
beg your pardon?
When you were a kid, did you never pull your scale
I didn't
electric
have
car
scale
apart?
electric.
Well, I did, and
No,
I
it's
pulled it
boring
apart. And
people.
what there is, the most significant factor...
Can you stop talking for a
The
minute?
most significant factor of an electric engine
It's not a toy car.
is a huge copper coil.
Scale electrics weren't electric engines.
They were.
No, they weren't.
They were.
They
were
didn't have
electric cars.
engines.
They were electric
Yeah,
cars.
but they ran on a toy track
Yeah, well,
driven by a transformer.
they were electric.
The track was electric, not the car.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Makes a difference.
It doesn't matter whether the track or the car is electric. They're
Yeah, it
electric.
does. Well,
They're
if you've
electric.
got an electric track, you don't need an engine.
Yeah.
Because the track drives the car.
Yeah, but something's got to propel the wheels round. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if the track's doing it,
Yeah.
then you
no,
don't
no,
need
no,
an
no.
engine.
Some mechanism inside
almighty.
the car has got to turn the wheels round.
Yeah,
It needs an axle to
embryo's
be
got
turned.
more scientific knowledge than you.
No, it doesn't. Don't be insulting just because you've lost the argument.
I haven't
You-
lost it.
You duffer.
You're listening to the Two Mics on Talk Sport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. Scott says he's enjoying the show. He says, Porky's saying now and again, what am I talking about this for? Hashtag no sleep.
Yeah.
Martin says, why is Parry banging on about electric cars not being able to be charged again? Get a grip, Parry, he says.
Yeah, well-
And Darren says, did Porky ever get the electric bike?
No, but I'm still thinking about getting one. But
Yeah?
I've
what,
got
do you
a
think, what do you think the engine's like on that?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. But
Do you want me to show you a picture of a Tesla engine?
yeah, okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, go on. Let's
I've
have a
got
look.
one here. I'm going to tweet it out
Okay.
because, unfortunately for you, I'm afraid it looks very much like a normal engine.
Yeah, okay. Well, you say that, but I mean, you know,
Well, there it is.
with my trained eye, that doesn't look anything like a normal
Yeah, it
engine.
does.
No, I don't think it
Yeah,
does.
but you said, all right,
Yes.
let me repeat your words.
Yes.
What are they going to do with that big space under the bonnet?
Yeah, that's
you know,
right.
like there's nothing there.
Yeah. Well, there won't be as much there.
Yeah, it's
can't
full.
be.
It's full of metal.
Right.
Okay?
Let me tell you this. I've got one from Jamie. He says, "You duffer. That's what you called MG, Porky." And he says, "I didn't crash my car laughing. You see, people recognise you as a duffer." And another one says, "Porky, you said to MG, don't be insulting. And then called him a duffer.
Yeah,
it's
it's
you
true.
who's insulting him."
Right.
Yeah.
And Scott says Porky should admire Elon Musk being a man so rich he stopped taking his salary after being the highest ever paid CEO. I like this guy Elon Musk. Do you know much about him?
What nationality is he?
He's American.
Is he?
Yeah.
Elon Musk. That's
Yeah.
a great name, though.
It's
I
a
think.
great name.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you remember the story of the guy who I think is in Australia?
Yes.
And he wanted to buy. It's a very wealthy man in his own right,
Right.
and wanted to buy a Tesla.
Right.
And I think he was loaned one or something like that, or he
Yeah.
had one and wanted to
Yeah.
trade it in.
Yeah.
And he made such a fuss, but kept taking it back, moaning and
What,
groaning.
saying this doesn't work and all
Well,
that
just
kind of
complaining
stuff.
about this, that, and the other,
Yeah.
and then writing emails and slagging off the salesman and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Musk said, "Right, this man will never be allowed to buy a Tesla."
Right.
He banned him,
Right.
which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, but he couldn't ban him from buying a second-hand one, could he?
Well, no, but I mean that's not the
Exactly,
same,
yeah.
is it?
Yeah, I see what you mean. He
No,
can't-
but he said this man, he banned him from every Tesla outlet in the world.
Right, every
He said this guy
every
is on a
showroom.
blacklist. And
Yeah.
I love people like that. I think that's terrific.
Yeah, well, it honestly depends, doesn't it, for what reasons they were doing that sort of
I
thing.
bet you've been blacklisted from a few places.
Where have I been blacklisted from? No, I don't think I have.
I think you probably have been.
I don't think I have.
Have you ever been banned from a pub?
No, never.
Really?
No, never. I've never misbehaved in a pub. Never.
No, it's not that you misbehave, but I mean,
tell you what- I
you
tell
do
you-
have a bursting out into song.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never been... The only time I ever got thrown
You were
out
asked to leave that hotel, weren't you?
Which one?
When you were singing with the Beatles songs. With,
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
that's
Brazil.
right. That's at the back of Buckingham Palace. I keep forgetting the name bit. It's a very posh hotel.
I know the one you mean.
And it was at the back of...
Is it not the one where the royal family to be stayed before William married
I'm not quite
Kate?
sure. I don't think it was actually.
the Middletons? Yeah.
I don't think it was actually that one, but it's in Buckingham Palace Gate, right at the back near the Buckingham Palace Galleries, and
I don't know.
and it's where they keep the horses.
Well, you've been there,
It's
I
where
haven't.
they keep the horses and the carriages and all that kind of stuff. And it's opposite. I tell you, it's opposite. It's opposite the where's that pub we used to go to? No. We used to go to a pub there to
I'll
mix.
tell you where it's opposite. Another place I can't tell you about.
No, hang on. It's opposite a place where we used to mix with royal retainers, who we used to buy loads of drink for and give them loads of money to tell the stories about the royal family.
I
and
know.
That was called...
Well, that's sort of in the centre of Victoria Circle, isn't it?
Was it called the Toolbox or something? Or something
No,
like
but
that?
it might as well have been.
Yeah, oh no! Come on. Let's keep. It's a family show. And I did get thrown out of there once with a colleague because they had a pianist, a mid-afternoon pianist, and he was playing.
Yeah, we know the story.
He was playing, delicate sort of music, like the sort of music.
Like sort of
the tea rooms,
wallpaper music.
Yeah, that's right. And we gave him so much money. He eventually succumbed to playing Beatles songs like "Hey Jude" and "Get Back" and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then the manager came in.
And then he
threw us out.
And then he was fired, wasn't he?
He was fired and he threw us out. Yeah.
Now somebody sent a picture in of an electric engine in your mind, and there's nothing there.
I see. Yeah, that's very funny. Well, somebody here says I'm on my way now down to the toy shop to ask for an oversized scale extra car to replace the Merc.
Although depending on how spoiled children are these days, you can buy little electric versions of Ferraris and Volkswagens and Audis and Mercedes, and they sit in and drive around.
Yeah, they've got a little electric engine, haven't they?
Yes,
that's right.
Well, they run on batteries.
They're on batteries. Yeah, that's
like,
right,
like many toys do.
Yes, yeah. So what's going to happen then soon? It says here, by the way, Porky Scientific Journals, were they written in the 1700s? I think that's in relation to the Pitcairn story, No,
I don't think so. No, I think they're referring to your complete and utter lack of knowledge about electricity.
Oh, I see. So what's going to happen when we get a combination of electric cars with made by your mate, what's his name?
Elon Musk,
okay, and driverless cars?
Driverless electric cars?
Yes.
Well, that's what you get.
Is that what it's going to be?
Well, it's not that difficult to work it out, is it?
Do you know that
all cars are electric, many will be driverless?
I've read somewhere that before the end of this year, and there's only like 3-4 months to go, there will be...
September, October, November, December.
Yeah, that's right. There will be driverless cars operating in this country. Probably not in places like London and that, but in places like, I don't know, Cumbria and places like that.
Why Cumbria?
To test them out.
Oh, what you mean? No, they'd have to test them. They couldn't test them out on the open road.
No, they can. They can. Apparently they're licensed.
Do you remember when we did a quiz on motorways?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember when I asked you where a particular motorway was and I gave it a number?
Well, you gave me several numbers. Anyway, go on. What's the point of the story?
The point of the story is that there is a stretch of motorway in this country which is used for practice by the fire brigade, police, and etc.
That's right.
That's where they would test them.
That's where they would test them, yeah. And that
because it's not open to the public.
That is somewhere like Cumbria, isn't it?
No, it's in the Midlands, I think.
Midlands, is it? Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I was thinking, you have so little regard for what you say is your beloved the north of England.
Yes.
That you think everything can be tested out of there. Got a new sort of, got a new bubonic plague alert. Let's try that in Cumbria.
No,
you're like one of these dreadful MPs, and then you make out that I'm anti-northern, and it's actually you who thinks that it's the wilderness up there.
No,
you
it's
do.
not. It's not. It's not me at all. By the way, I meant to tell you because
we haven't got any time for any news stories now because
why not?
you're waffling on about.
All right. Well, I'll save this. Hold
on to it.
Yeah, I will indeed.
And we'll come back to it very, very soon because we've
idea.
got Porky Vision to get on with. We've also got to talk about Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
at some point.
I'm going to talk about trees.
And you want to talk about trees as well?
No, not do I want to talk about trees. We have a professor from Oxford University who's going to start talking great sense about trees.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Trees are a fascinating subject, and I'm glad for the first time we've managed to find an expert who agrees with me on that issue.
All right.
Yeah?
Well,
you have no regard for the world around you.
Wooden is certainly a word that I would associate with you.
Wooden head, I'd associate with you.
Yeah, wooden top.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. We are the Two Mics, and of course Mr. Parry is going to do Porky Vision, which is the best TV review this side of the Himalayas. Sometimes what we say. We don't know what it's about yet. Maybe you don't even know what it's about, but hopefully by the time 12:30 rolls around, we'll get some kind of idea.
I was reviewing programmes last night, as I do as a TV reviewer, and I did them with a box of Cadbury's milk tray.
Oh, yes. Was that the milk tray that came to you by way of a gift?
It did, a gift from your two young lads.
Indeed.
As a thank you.
Because they came in to see us in here, didn't they? A couple of weeks before we went away.
For seeing us in here. Now, I'm going to reveal to the audience now your clothing crisis for Edinburgh.
Well, it's not a clothing crisis.
It is a crisis, and I can't believe you can't get out of it. Now, I've got a clothing crisis, but I'm going to get out of it, right?
Well, it's not a question of crises.
Yeah.
I mean, as ever, you're overblowing the situation, right? The situation is this. I have... my plan was to bring 3 suits to Edinburgh.
Yes.
Right, so I could wear a different suit for each show.
Yes.
Because that's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't even got 3 suits to bring.
I have.
In fact, you would never wear a suit. You would wear your usual Pierre Cardin special and a pair of old manky purple trousers.
I haven't got any purple trousers.
You have. You wear them to every show.
I don't wear a suit on stage.
No.
I wear chinos.
No, you wear purple trousers.
I wear chinos with very expensive light shoes, and I wear Italian blue shirts, okay?
Italian?
Yeah, Italian.
Yeah, right.
Italian blue shirts, okay?
Yes. Anyway,
Simple
because of the fact that I was away until very early hours of Sunday morning...
you see, you can't organise your life, that's your
Well, no,
problem.
it's not that. It's just that I was then planning on Monday to take a bunch of stuff to the dry cleaners.
Right.
So I'd get it back on Wednesday.
So why didn't you do that?
Because Monday became, shall we say, a slightly roller coaster-like day.
Yes, that's right.
In which I didn't make it home till midnight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, dry cleaners is not open 24 hours around where I live.
Well, if you indulge in excesses, then you pay the price.
Much of it was work-related.
Related excesses. Yeah,
entertaining contacts, that kind of thing, meeting with colleagues, that sort of business.
Yes.
Anyway, so then yesterday I went to the dry cleaners and I said, would you be able to get this stuff back to me by Thursday? And they said probably.
Yeah.
And I went, well, probably is not really good enough because on Friday
no.
I have to come to the office and then go straight to the airport.
Yes.
So if I haven't got the stuff with me, first thing on Friday morning,
yes.
they don't open until 9 o'clock on Friday morning, at which time I'm already here.
Yes.
So I didn't put it in.
Barely.
Because it would be work. Eh?
Barely.
Barely what?
By 9 o'clock, you're barely.
I was here at 8:45 today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was.
No,
listen, I'm not the one that lies about the time I get in.
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
You're the one that said you got here at 7 until I exposed your hideous lie by showing you a picture of yourself at a bus stop at 7:20.
Excuse me, I live on a 24-hour schedule and I can't, 20 minutes here and there, it just whizzes
means
past
nothing.
for me.
No, absolutely right.
Right, now go on.
So what I'm thinking is one of the suits, actually, I've only worn it once.
Yeah.
For about 4 hours.
Right.
So that one probably can
get away with that.
I can get away with that, so I don't need to dry clean it. So what I'm
Okay.
thinking now, I've got 2 choices.
Right.
I think in Canary Wharf there's a same-day service, so I could pop down there this afternoon, chuck the stuff in and pick it up tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, that's my plan. That's plan A.
That's plan A.
Plan B, if that doesn't happen, because I may get diverted this afternoon in some way, shape, or form. If that doesn't happen, then I will just take the stuff with me and get it dry cleaned in Edinburgh.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm hoping I'll be able to find a 1 hour dry cleaning place or 2 hour dry cleaning place on a Saturday.
How many cases are you planning on taking to Edinburgh?
I'm bringing just one.
And is this going in the hold?
Yes.
Have we paid for this?
We have paid for a bag to go in the hold.
Well, like one bag or each bag?
One bag each.
You sure?
Yeah, what do you mean one bag between the 3 of us?
Well, I don't know.
What do you think, we're the Marx Brothers or something?
That's right, yeah.
Chico's the one with the bag.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. Oh, well, in that case, I'll bring a proper...
So what's your crisis? And the other thing, of course, is that as you know, all of my shirts are always pressed at the dry cleaners.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's pathetic.
Why?
But anyway, well, I mean, you're trawling off down at the dry cleaners just to get your shirts cleaned. Ridiculous.
No, not to get them cleaned. I wash them in a washing machine, but I didn't get them to be pressed.
Ridiculous.
Well, it's not ridiculous.
Anyway, so my crisis is this, right? My housekeeper...
She's done her back in again.
No. She's on holiday, and she deserves to be.
You give her a holiday?
Very hard working. Oh, yes, and I pay...
How many weeks a year do you give her a holiday?
4.
You give her 4 weeks a year?
Yes.
Paid?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I don't believe a word of it.
Yeah,
I do not believe a word of it.
Now, the point is this, right? That means...
You're going to have to get a pension for her, aren't you?
Yes, that's all sorted. Yes,
she has a pension.
The accountants have sorted all that. No problem at all. Now,
I don't believe that either.
So what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this, right? Is that I then find myself...
Your clothing crisis is that all your clothes are rubbish.
No. My clothing crisis is that I have a load of stuff. Now, I have worked this out. I know how to operate the washing machine.
Well done.
So I can wash the clothes, okay? And
Congratulations.
I can have a dark wash for all the chinos and stuff like that. And then I can
Hang on. You haven't got anything light.
Yes,
you don't own anything light.
No, my shirts are light.
No, they're not.
Lighter.
Your shirts are all dark blue.
So no, they're not. So the shirts will go in the light wash. Now they all then come out, and
is it a washer dryer?
Well, yes, it is, but they still and a spinner. It spins them as well.
It's got a spinner.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
quite modern then. Well, I imagine you have one of those ringers that you put it through.
I think I've only had it about 2 months, 3 months. It got replaced. She replaced it. You know.
But these are not...
Anyway.
Every washing machine's got a spinner. How do you think it dries the stuff?
Just listen. I know how to hang them up.
Is it electric?
Of course it's electric, you idiot. Well, it's not gas, is it? Not a gas washing machine.
Give me what you know about electric engines.
Actually, do you know what? I think when I was a kid, I think my mum had a gas washing machine. I think she did. No, seriously.
No way.
Seriously.
There was never a gas washing machine.
No, I think there was.
Rubbish.
I think there was. Honest to God. I think there was. Do you know, you won't believe this, in my street in Chester, when we were kids.
The cul-de-sac.
The cul-de-sac, that's right. A little fella used to come round with a ladder on his bike attached to his crossbar, right? Only a little ladder.
A ladder?
Yeah, a ladder.
Well, how did he ride it if it was on the crossbar?
Well, because it was attached.
You sure this wasn't in a circus?
No, it was attached to the... It was attached to the crossbar.
Was he wearing a clown's outfit?
No, you idiot. It was attached to the crossbar.
Right.
But the point of the ladder...
sideways?
No.
That would have been dangerous.
No, you idiot. Long ways. Look, it had a little point at the top of the ladder, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
Well, how many steps did it have?
Well, only about 8. This is the whole point.
Right.
This is the whole point.
Uh-huh.
So the point of the ladder stopped where the handlebars were.
Okay.
But then the ladder, extended out the back of the bike. You see what I mean?
Telescopic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sort of thing.
So he ran it lengthways?
Lengthways,
Well, how did he get it past the saddle? Or did he just put it over the saddle?
No, he didn't. No, he put it at the side of the saddle, underneath the saddle.
I
get
you. Okay,
yeah, right. And so it
So
only...
he sort of had it hooked on?
Yes, and it extended about 2 feet off the back...
Was he a window
off
cleaner?
the back wheel. Well, no, this is the point. He used to come down the cul-de-sac, right, and come to the end, and he'd put the ladder up against the lamppost at the end.
Yeah.
That's why it had a little pointed top, so it could lean on a lamppost. And he'd climb up his 8 steps, and then guess what he would do?
Light the lamp.
Light the lamp.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. We had gas lamps in our street. How about that?
Yeah. Well, it tells me how old you are.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. It tells you about the
why did he have
deprivation? The deprivation.
Why didn't they just have a ladder and then they could have sent you up to light it?
Oh, that'd be ridiculous. I would have blown the place up.
Well, no.
But anyway,
Not a particularly skilled job, is it?
Getting back to the fact that
so you're telling us you know how to use a washing machine.
No, right,
so
I know,
top marks for that.
I know how to.
Do you know how to use an iron?
Well, this is the very point. I know how to hang the stuff up afterwards. When it's dry, I then know how to iron.
So you don't use the dryer, in other words.
Yeah, I do use the dryer. You wash, spin,
why do you
and
hang it
dry.
up?
Well, because it never comes out bone dry. If it did, it would come
out.
No, it doesn't. It would come out all creased.
If you've got a dryer,
no,
of course it comes out bone dry. My washing machine has 3 settings.
No,
right?
You have to have it damp. You have to have it damp so you can iron it properly.
Well,
but I know how to use the iron. I can iron.
Well, another great skill.
No. I'm telling you, I can iron a couple of pairs of chinos.
Yeah.
And a few
shirts.
Well, that's
great. Well, in that case, my problem is solved. I'm going to bring all my clean shirts up to Edinburgh.
No way.
And you can iron them for me.
No way, pal.
Why not?
No way, Jose.
I'll pay you 50p a shirt, just like I pay the dry cleaners.
No, if you paid me £5 a shirt, wouldn't do your shirt. You sort yourself out. Okay,
that's what I'll do. But I won't. What I won't do is
sort out your own laundry.
What I won't do is print out your ticket, and then when you get to the airport, you won't know what to do.
Oh well, don't worry, because actually I have a colleague printing my ticket out for me. Okay,
really? Because I asked you to.
You goon.
Now, what have we got to talk about Sherlock Holmes? And we've got to talk about trees. I'm not quite sure when we're doing that.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about Sherlock Holmes very shortly. Do you know why?
Why?
It's 129 years today since the first Sherlock Holmes book was published. What was it called?
It was called The Scarlet Letter, wasn't it?
Scarlet Letter, that's the one, okay.
You haven't read it, have you?
What?
You haven't read it, have you?
I don't think I've ever read a Sherlock Holmes book.
No?
I'm not a huge fan. I like watching
Do you know who I like doing it? It was Peter Cushing.
I like Basil Rathbone.
That's really old, though,
yeah, well, I know, but I mean, you see some of those old grey ones. Cushing was all right. I thought he was a bit too pompous. I thought he was a bit too, look how clever I am type Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, but that's what he was meant to be.
Well, he was meant to be.
The point about Sherlock Holmes was that he was meant to be slightly objectionable.
Yes, I suppose.
You know, and Watson was his bumbling assistant.
Yes, yeah.
But the thing that's good about it is
Dr.
that it's
Watson.
been... The thing that's good about it is that it's been sort of redone so many times.
Yes,
most
right,
recently by your friend, Mr. Benedict.
Mr. Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And
didn't Guy, what's his name, who make that great film?
Who?
Guy
Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie.
The one with the American guy in it.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The troublesome actor, what was his name?
Yes, I can't remember his name.
The guy who had a few, social problems.
Well, not really. He just liked to have a good time.
Yes.
And it got a bit out of hand.
It got a bit out of hand, yeah.
Yes, well, we'll talk about that coming up next. Sherlock Holmes' anniversary.
Yes.
He is perhaps the most enduring fictional character of all time.
Really?
That's what I'm saying.
What about Robin Hood?
Well, we'll talk about him as well.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. We are the two mics. We've got loads more coming up before the end of the show, of course. Ryan says this: when Porky starts a story with "you won't believe this," I probably won't, because it's usually too far-fetched to believe.
That's a bit harsh.
And Robert Downey Jr., of course,
Robert
is
Downey Jr.
the guy we're thinking of. And a couple of interesting pictures of your gas-fired washing machine.
Oh, yeah, love that, yeah. That's not, I tell you what, my mum had one of those. That's called a, what's it called? When you put the clothes...
A wringer.
The wringer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called something else, not a wringer. It's called...
yeah, my grandmother had one of them.
A mill, is it?
It's not a mill.
Is it a clothes mill?
No.
You sure? I thought it was called
No,
a
it's
clothes
not a
mill.
clothes mill.
Right, okay. Now, listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah,
right.
go on.
Now, we mentioned this earlier in the show, but we touched on it. Now, these so-called miracle foods, okay?
Yeah.
First of all, have you ever heard of Manuka?
Manuka.
Manuka.
M-A-N-U-C-A.
Yes.
No.
It's Manuka.
All right.
Nicknamed liquid gold.
Yeah.
Numerous healing properties, but according to latest figures, market is flooded with fake versions
Really?
of what is known as the Wonder Honey.
Fake Manuka.
Yeah, 500-gram jar, 60 quid.
Yeah.
Okay? So all these nutters, all these off-the-wall, back to Mother Earth type,
New Age types.
go around buying this Manuka honey, but it's so easy to imitate that most of it's not real.
Yeah.
It comes only from New Zealand. Comes from bees in New Zealand.
Actually, I think I have heard of it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called the Miracle Medicine.
I mean, there are people who will tell you that honey actually is one of those things which is very good for you. There's
Yes.
lots of different kinds
Yes.
of it, and you can become a bit of a specialist. I went to one of those farm shops in the country, a
Right.
few weeks ago.
Yeah, which country?
Hey? In the country. Well, when you live in the country,
Yeah.
you say in the country.
I see, in the country, yeah. So which county is it?
Like in the
Sussex?
same way that when
Yeah,
you're in the country, you say, I'm going up to town.
Yeah, I'm going to town.
Everybody
in
knows
Sussex,
what that means. It means you're coming to London.
Okay, get on with it.
Well,
Yeah.
the story is that one of my kids suffers from hay fever quite badly.
Right.
And somebody said, if you give him honey, which is made by bees from the area, local bees,
Yeah.
then actually it could cure, or to some extent help, the pollen problem.
Well, that's good.
Because it's almost like a sort of pollen-related scenario.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I found myself in this country shop and country farm shop, and I thought, and they had some local honey.
Yeah.
It was made sort of 2 miles away, and I thought I'll buy that. And it was a tin about a bottle, I suppose, a normal size honey, 13 quid.
13 quid. Well, this is 60 quid if you get the real stuff. So there you go. But anyway, listen, once again, to get it to the people, the trendies, the metropolitan elite, they ship 1,800 tonnes of this stuff from New Zealand. 1,800 tonnes
Well, it's
of
obviously
honey,
popular.
Of honey.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have what's called a UMF, a unique Manuka factor, number on the label. And the theory is that the higher the UMF number, the greater its strength at killing bacteria, and the better it is for you. Another thing that is true, the higher the number, the higher the cost. So, for instance, a 250 gram pot of Manuka with a UMF factor of 12 is currently on sale in a chain of health food shops for £14.99.
Yeah.
However, OMF factor 24, £28.99, and so it goes on up to £60, okay?
Right. So what's the problem with this stuff?
Well,
why are you saying there's a problem with it?
I'm not saying there's a problem. I'm saying they have to ship 1,800 tonnes of it from New Zealand.
That's
right?
because it's popular and people want to buy it.
Yeah, okay. So would these...
So what are you saying? You want to stop people buying what they wish to buy?
No, what I'm saying is these Save the Earth types, we're going to save the Earth. They think it's right to ship 1,800 tonnes of honey when there's so much honey in this country. We've got more bees than any other country in the world.
No, the bee population is diminishing.
Sorry?
The bee population is diminishing.
Well, you say it's diminishing, but...
No, you normally do, actually.
You're
constantly saying to me that the bees are dying out.
Yeah, but nevertheless, we still have a lot. Now, I'm going to run through some of these...
I remember that the next time you told me they're
I'm going to run
out.
through some of these so-called miracle foods that you eat, and I'm going to tell you the effect it's having on the world.
When you say miracle foods, you mean that they're supposed to be good for your body? That's what you mean?
Well, whatever, for whatever reason, people...
Well, no, because tabloid newspapers call them miracle foods.
Yeah.
Like they call anything to do with medical stuff that they don't understand.
Don't stop knocking tabloid newspapers.
No,
you and I worked in them for 25 years.
Well, that's why I can, because I can tell you from the inside.
Yeah.
And the same as the phrase Frankenstein medicine.
Frankenstein
it's
medicine,
basically
I love
anything that newspapers, the medical correspondents can't understand.
Anyway, listen, to start off with, your quinoa, okay?
Quinoa?
Yeah,
Finally, you get it right. I don't eat quinoa. I don't like it.
Right, quinoa, right?
I don't eat it.
Right, let me tell you this, right? Quinoa is so valuable at £6.58 a kilogram. Farmers now exclusively grow quinoa year after year to meet demand and have abandoned traditional methods of rotating crops to restore fertility and prevent erosion. Therefore, farmland is disappearing because of the demand from the metropolitan elite for quinoa.
That is rubbish.
No, it's not.
That is absolute and utter reverse snobbery.
Half of Bolivia is now going infertile because of the demand for quinoa.
Well, why don't they just grow cocaine like they used to? I mean, what's the problem with that?
No, I said Bolivia. I didn't say...
Bolivia?
Yeah. No, the other place was...
Colombia,
Colombia.
They have the coca plant in Bolivia as well.
Yeah. Anyway, right, now...
Because remember the Americans went down there and tried to convince them,
yes.
During the whole Sandinista period.
Yeah, burn it all.
And Oliver North and all that.
That's right, yeah.
And he was in El Salvador, and so they tried to stop the cartels by going to all the farmers and saying, why don't you just grow coffee?
Yeah, that's right.
And they showed them how much they could make growing coffee and how much the cartels were paying them. And they went, you must be joking.
Yeah, exactly.
We get about 100 times what you're offering us for coffee.
Exactly, that's quite right.
Yeah.
Now then, cacao, okay?
Yeah.
African countries, including the Ivory Coast, Ghana and Nigeria, are suffering significant deforestation as plantations of cacao have spread.
Yeah.
And in South America, in Peru, Peru has seen a 5-fold increase in production since 1990. Cacao companies have cleared thousands of hectares of unique and irreplaceable Amazon rainforest.
And these are the people who didn't care when the Amazon rainforest was being cut down in order to provide paper for them to produce their newspaper.
Absolutely. And this is so cacao. Now, avocado. Avocado is
I
one of
do
the
eat
worst.
avocados. I love avocados.
Right. Okay.
And you, of course, like avocado and prawns as your starter, don't you?
In Indian restaurants. Yeah.
In Indian restaurants only.
The only fruit with high levels of heart-healthy monounsaturated fatty acids.
Say that again.
Monounsaturated fatty acids, okay? Right? And it also contains numerous vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
Now then, it's very high in fibre, but get this, so it's good for people like me with heart conditions, right? In South America alone, production has rocketed from 9,000 acres of avocado trees in 1993 to, get this, 71,000 acres
well, that's
today.
Good, isn't it? What's wrong with that?
Well, it says... much of the cultivation is on the once barren hillsides of Chile's semi-arid central valley.
So it's basically its areas being cultivated which were previously barren. That's good.
No. Listen, I haven't finished yet. Where rainfall is minimal. So each acre of avocado trees needs 1 million gallons of water a year,
right.
And to supply this, rivers are being drained and groundwater overpumped, depriving the local populace of even drinking water. That's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
Well, it's amazing that that they want to attack the metropolitan elite for things that they eat, but it's okay if you're Rio Tinto Zinc, raping an entire sort of valley and completely flattening it.
Be careful using that word. It's a very sensitive word. You can't say that.
I can say that in that context.
Well, okay. Now then, coconut, right? Coconut. Recent figures report that in the UK we now spend more than... I can't believe this. How many mad people are there in this country? We now spend more than £100 million a year on coconut products, okay?
Yeah. Well, there's coconut shampoo.
Yeah.
Coconut milk.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, I've got...
coconut flakes.
I showered this morning in a coconut shower gel. How about that? Yeah? Yeah.
I just don't want you to tell me that kind of thing.
Anyway, but because the trees become less productive as they age, more and more are planted to keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
Now, intensive cultivation...
called farming.
Yes, okay. Now, intensive cultivation...
Who is it that's getting all worked up about this? Is anybody actually named?
This is me. This is my own report.
This is just you?
This is my own report.
Yeah.
Now, as a result of this, in Indonesia...
You're the same guy, by the way, that doesn't believe in climate change.
I don't really believe in climate change.
So you don't think that all of this different arable work is changing the way the climate is being manufactured?
No, the variation in weather patterns is down to sunspots, okay? Right. Now then, just listen. Coconuts, right, we are talking about Indonesia, India and the Philippines damaging soil quality and encouraging excessive use of fertilisers and pesticides that harm people's drinking water. Coconut farmers tend to be amongst the poorest people in the whole of the world.
Yeah.
Few brands are fair trade, which ensures...
They're happy, though, aren't they?
Eh?
They'll be happy, though, even though they're poor.
Well, they don't have a lot of responsibilities.
Coconut farming.
How can you have a lot of responsibilities when you live in basically a hut made out of Dobble and Ward? You know?
Waddle and Daub.
What Waddle and Daub? How can you be unhappy?
Well, you see,
you can
once
fix
again,
the roof when the sun shines.
See, once again, you show your complete and utter contempt for anyone who doesn't own a house.
No.
Just because he's a coconut farmer, it doesn't mean that you should be, in some way, disrespectful.
In pineapples, do you know what that's doing to Costa Rica?
Well, who's doing it, though? Del Monte?
No.
They're packing them all into tins and selling them to planks like you.
Successive Costa Rican governments have tried to cut pesticide use, but environmental scientists scientists say problems persist, worsening.
They couldn't stop Mickey Brennan moving there, either.
No, they couldn't, no. In addition, pineapple work is often seasonal, so workers are being hired for harvest and then fired immediately afterwards and cast out without any income for the rest of the year.
Well, they do that in Norfolk. They do that in Norfolk.
Hang
Why are
on.
you not getting worked up about that?
Hang on. This keeps workers in constant fear of being blacklisted, right, for protesting at poverty-level pay and poor working conditions, OK?
So now you're the sort of the standard bearer for poor working conditions and poverty, are you?
Well, any civilised person should be.
Really?
And finally, soybeans.
So you're going to stop eating avocados now?
Hang on.
Are you?
Well, as long as they're ethically produced.
Ethically produced?
Yes.
Is that what you asked them in the old, Taj Mahal down in Stockbroker Belt? Sorry.
I'm not.
Excuse me, but garçon.
I'm not.
Is the avocado ethically produced?
I'm not allowed.
He probably bought it from the cutter down the road.
I'm not allowing you to make light of this. Now, the final one is soybeans.
Yes.
Protein level in soybeans makes it a boon for vegetarians, OK? Now, soybeans are used for tofu. I have no idea what tofu is. And
you don't know what tofu is?
No.
It's a kind of, it's sort of like eating cardboard.
Well, there you go.
Only it's been soaked in water for a while.
Yeah. Right, tofu and soy milk, popular as an alternative to cow's milk.
A lot of people have soy milk if they are lactose intolerant.
Oh, I see, OK. Now, huge swathes...
I think I'm Parry intolerant.
Yeah, OK. Well, that's your problem, not mine. Huge swathes of land are required to make soybean growing profitable. As a result,
So, all right, hang on.
Yeah.
You've repeated the same old baloney about every single thing, right? So what's the solution? You want to stop making all this stuff?
Hang on.
So take away the only source of income that all of these people have, albeit a small one, and give them nothing in return.
Yeah.
What are you going to have them do?
You will be shocked by soybeans. Almost 4 million hectares. That's equivalent to more than 5 million football fields. 5 million football fields, remember, of the Amazon in the Gran Chaco, right? The Gran Chaco Valley.
Where's that?
Well, it's somewhere in the Amazon.
Right.
And the Atlantic forests are destroyed every year. I mean, it's a damn disgrace, the whole thing.
Well, you've never complained about the amount of forestation destruction that was going on by paper companies.
What?
Huh?
But they regrow. They regrow
No,
trees.
they don't.
They do.
They don't regrow.
In Scandinavia, there's no deforestation.
Well, I'll tell you what,
because
when we
it's
talk to
planned.
your tree expert, we can
planned.
ask her about that.
Of course we can. Yeah,
and your sort of incredible duplicity, whereby you've
What I'm
supported...
saying is...
for decades you've supported the newspaper business, right?
Yes.
You've been a part of it. You've never complained about anything that they've done. And yet, the deforestation of the Amazon, to a large extent, has been carried out by paper companies.
I want you to remember, next time you put a piece of avocado in your mouth, or you take an almond, or a bit of quinoa, the minute you're biting,
quinoa.
The minute you put that in your mouth, do you know what you're doing? You are
satisfying an urge.
You are chewing on the fate of some poor peasant worker on the other side of the world who gets paid like 80p a day
because you care so much about them.
Well, I have a social conscience.
Do you?
I do have a social conscience. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, I do. And I belittle anybody who doesn't.
Yeah, you belittle anybody who doesn't have a house.
No,
that's what you belittle.
No, social conscience is more important to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure will be reflected in all the responses on Twitter that you are in fact a massive hypocrite when it comes to telling people what they should and shouldn't do. But we'll talk to the tree woman coming up in the next hour. We'll also have Porky Vision. We'll get some more of your tweets organised as well. It's at the Two Mics.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the Two Mics. Coming up in this hour we're talking Sherlock Holmes. There's a bit of a mystery as to how exactly we're going to get there, but we shall find out in a little while why Porky's quite so interested in the subject matter. Porky Vision coming up as well, the best TV review you've ever heard, and it will be about something that's been on TV. I don't know what yet, but we shall see. And I've got a couple of surprises for Porky as well. You're listening to the Two Mics with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry. Now, you were talking in the first hour about people catfishing, right?
Well, indeed, it's a phenomenon I've discovered. Some weirdos who don't want to reveal who they are are going around...
pretend to be somebody else. Now, you revealed that you had once, one period of your life in your mid-20s, pretended to be Noel Edmonds' brother.
Well, in my early 20s, when I was about 21, 22.
You said mid-20s?
No, it wasn't mid-20s. No, I've checked.
You've checked?
It was about when
have you got papers on it?
No. About
Did you have an ID card that said... Mike Edmonds or something.
Well,
you did, didn't you?
No,
I bet you did. I bet you had made up like a fake John Bull printing set Here's my card. I bet you did. I bet you had a business card
Rubbish.
that said something that wasn't true.
Rubbish. When it was a throwaway comment one night in the King's Disco in Chester when I thought I was in with half a chance.
So now you're saying you only used it once.
Of course.
Despite the fact that when I asked you how many times it worked, you said several.
No. Anyway, let's move on.
The reason I bring it up again, right, is because the research department here at Talk Radio Towers has discovered that in a previous engagement in which you had here in this building, during another show some years ago with me on Talk Sport, you did a bit of catfishing yourself.
Oh, rubbish.
Yes, you did.
Rubbish. What are you on about?
There's a website called RussianWomen.ca.
Russian women.
Right?
Yeah.
And on that website, there is a man by the name of, I think it's John Simmons or something like that.
Yeah.
And whose handle is Love to Pork. Right?
Love to pork.
Yeah.
What's all that about?
Now, you use this picture as your picture. Can you tell me who that is?
That is born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, yeah. So you used Bruce Springsteen's picture.
Are you mad?
Right. And you pretended that you were a single businessman looking for love.
Rubbish.
Yes, you did. I've got all the evidence here. And RussianWomen.ca is a place where you still have an account, although it seems to have been inactive for some time.
Of course it has been.
Oh, sorry, here's your name. Mickey Johnson was your name.
Mickey Johnson.
And you had a couple of pieces of correspondence.
Really?
This one from red-haired Elisa.
Oh, yes?
Dear Mickey Johnson, we are glad to inform you that you have received a virtual smile.
Oh.
A virtual smile means that the member is interested in contacting you. Please be polite to answer with a smile in return. And I don't know whether you returned that particular smile.
Well, this was a put-up job, wasn't it? This was you lot stitching me up, saying, we'll find you a Russian bride.
Here's another one.
It was.
Here's another one from Anastasia, Sunny Lady.
Oh, yes?
Hello, I'm quite new here, and everything seemed there. There's obviously more to that one.
Okay.
Hello, Love to Pork.
Yep.
This is from Your Super Love. Hello, Love to Pork, as I'm looking for my future husband. Best regards.
Yeah, but come on, man. You all know this was set up. You guys set
not
me
at
up
all.
here. Yes, you did.
Hello,
You said we'll
Mickey
find you a Russian
Johnson,
bride.
says Panther Maria.
Well,
I was on this site for you. Remember that.
I can swear.
Hi.
I can swear to our audience. Swear absolutely with my hand on the English Bible.
Yeah. The English Bible.
You know, whatever Bible it is.
You mean the King James Bible?
King James Bible.
James Bible.
King James Bible.
Yeah.
That I did not initiate this tawdry.
Hello, Mickey
exercise.
Johnson. Here's another one. Message from Lady Diana.
Yeah,
not that one.
This
obviously.
tawdry.
Good evening, dear. A real man is not one who earns money.
My God.
I think she's got a tongue firmly in her cheek on that one.
This tawdry exercise in trying to make friends with members of the opposite sex
From
through
Russia.
pretending to be somebody else.
On the other hand,
set-up
well,
job.
on the other hand, you could say that this is yet more evidence of your connections with the Kremlin.
Oh,
You know, why Russian women? You know, here's one from Grey-Eyed Woman. I believe that my letter will be special for you. Please read it.
Oh, right.
Laura Blonde. Good evening, my new friend.
Yes.
Good evening.
Well, you see,
Love to pork.
This is some sort of con trick, isn't it?
No.
Where I suppose if I'd ever replied,
I can't read this one out.
Oh, really? If I'd ever
From Diana Lovely.
If I'd ever replied to any of those, let me have a look, please.
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's.
Check that one out.
If I'd ever replied to any of those, then obviously I'd have found myself embroiled in a situation where I would have ended up in some sort of cocktail bar in Moscow with the old sleeping tablets being dropped in.
Or the polonium injection.
Polonium injection or sleeping tablets dropped.
Once I've accessed your bank account, Mr. Parry, you would be no longer alive.
That's right, yeah. And all this sleeping tablets dropped into my drink while the so-called Russian ladies, rifled through my pockets and my wallet while I was drugged in their company.
Free to contact Russian brides. Post your profile and chat with any single Russian women online. Sending a message to any Russian girl is free and not limited.
Yeah,
if you are not completely satisfied with our service for any reason, contact us within 30 days of your purchase and we will promptly refund 100% of your money.
Tawdry exercise.
So you must have paid for it because nobody here would have.
Oh, rubbish. Tawdry exercise.
I certainly didn't.
In exploitation of women.
Really?
On the other side of the Iron Curtain. Absolutely disgraceful.
Here's a nice one here. I'm not one. Dear Love to Pork, I'm not $1 million, but I can become your jackpot.
Oh.
How about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, tawdry.
All I'm saying is that let he
smutty.
Who is without stain, cast the first stone or whatever.
I am without stain. Believe me, I never get involved in that sort of thing, and I never would.
Well, you did, and this is the evidence.
No, I didn't. I mean, a couple of times I've been in Russia, I've seen how active the ladies of pleasure, so to speak, or ladies of the night or whatever are. Every time you go back to your hotel...
You're not suggesting these women are prostitutes, eh?
Well, of course they are.
They're not.
Of course they are.
No, they're not.
Don't be ridiculous.
You can't say that.
Well,
the website will sue you.
what do you think they are then?
Well, I don't know what they are, but you
Yeah.
can't accuse them automatically of being, people involved in a dodgy business.
Oh, yeah, so it's normal to send some of those sort of messages that I've just read, which we can't read out on the
there are
family show.
There are millions of websites like that.
Yes, I know there are, and I can tell you that is not...
I would imagine all of those women
Yeah.
are genuine because
Yeah.
they're looking for somebody to marry in the West and come and live in America.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get involved in that sort of business, believe me, and I never would. But you go into your hotels in Moscow, whenever I've been there, and the most elegant and beautiful-looking women are usually sitting in the lobby, beautifully dressed, and strangest thing is, always smoking. Always with a cigar in there.
A cigar?
Yeah, a cigarette between their fingers. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, I mean, they have the same smoking rules in Russia, do they?
There's no smoking rules at all, and there's no smoking rules, I don't think, in Israel either.
Ah.
Israel's the most...
I must admit, that was one of the things I enjoyed about Spain.
Yes.
That you could go into a restaurant outside
Yes.
because so much of the eating is done outside,
That's
like
right.
when we went for lunch.
Yes.
And you're okay to smoke outside, which I
Yeah.
always think you should be.
Well, doesn't that count in England as well?
No. Most restaurants in Britain, if there's an outside area,
Yeah.
you can't smoke.
I thought that the reason that the very famous advertising man, Saatchi, Mr. Saatchi,
Yeah.
thought the reason why he had his own table at Scott's of Mayfair was outside because he was an inveterate smoker and that was his table so
Well,
he could
there
smoke.
may be individual restaurants that have that policy,
I think
but
there
as
is.
a general rule,
Yeah.
most of them will
Yeah.
not let you smoke, and you have to walk outside of the general kind of eating area.
Yeah, I see
if
what
you
you
want a
mean.
cigarette.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind doing. I'm used to doing.
Yes,
it.
yes,
But
yes.
it's very pleasant when you don't have to. You know.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I mean, it's such an irritant to other people around you.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing.
I'll tell you what's an irritant to other people around you is
What's
when
that?
somebody gives you a carton of 200 cigarettes and somebody who's given you that
Yes,
carton has
yes.
taken one packet out.
Well, I had to borrow a packet. That was all.
No, are you giving it back?
Sorry.
Are you going to give it back?
Well, it's been
No,
used now.
it's
I'm
been
afraid.
used.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
smoked.
Some of them have been smoked.
By you?
No, I don't want to say that. I don't. With company and all that kind of stuff. Just felt like being generous. It's simple.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. Well, once again, your hypocrisy has been exposed.
I think not.
Coming up very shortly, we will be talking to the tree woman, who is in fact Fiona Stafford. She's written a book called The Long, Long Life of Trees.
Excuse me.
I'm
She
not
is a
quite
professor.
sure why.
She's an Oxford
Well,
professor.
she's written a book.
And she's an Oxford professor.
Really?
We show her great respect on this
So
show.
don't call
okay?
her prof then.
Well, I will call her professor because
Yeah, but
she's
you
a
always
lady
call.
professor.
Well, we had a professor from Oxford on yesterday. You called him prof.
Well, he was a male professor.
Oh, so because it's a woman, you're going to call her something more respectful?
Of course,
Because you're a benevolent sexist.
No,
you are.
I'm not. I'm
You
not.
are
I'm
a
not.
benevolent sexist.
I'm not. I'm just polite and worthy.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that. Coming up next, trees, a bit of Sherlock Holmes, and of course, Porky Vision.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. We are the Two Mics, and there will be a podcast coming out, hopefully in some rapidity after this show is over. Yesterday's is out there already. Some of you complained that it's got some overlay on it. Try not to worry about that. We'll try and fix it, but the best thing is just to listen to the full mics and deal with it.
Yeah.
Fiona Stafford, however, is going to talk to us now.
Indeed.
And she is a writer of The Long, Long Life of Trees.
Yeah.
You claim that she's also an Oxford professor.
I don't just claim. The lady is.
Is she? Fiona.
Oxford professor of English.
Fiona, very good afternoon to you.
Well, very nice to talk to you.
Thank you very
much.
Thanks
indeed.
very much indeed for joining us. Now, Mr. Parry here is very much obsessed with trees, and so I imagine you and he will have quite a lot in common. The Long, Long Life of Trees. Tell us what it's about.
It's about exactly what it says on the can. It's about trees. It's about how long they live in some cases, but it's also about their extremely long cultural lives. So it's not just about the physical details of trees, but also how they're completely woven into our culture, our stories. Our lives really, and have been for centuries.
And so, forgive me for sort of asking very obvious questions, but so are you saying they're part of the folklore of things, that they appear in books and they appear in movies and that kind of stuff?
They do. They appear in all of those. They appear in paintings, movies, everywhere. They also actually appear in place names. So. Very often someone might be living in a place that's named after a tree without even thinking about it.
Well, like Ash Grove or something.
Absolutely. Right, now, Fiona, are you okay for me to call you Professor? Because you are a professor, aren't you?
Well, you can if you wish. Most people call me Fiona.
Yeah, well, I like to call you Professor because it illustrates to our audience the high calibre of intelligent people we get on our show, you see.
No, but you see, that's such a ridiculous thing to say.
No, it's not.
We had a professor from Oxford on yesterday,
Yes.
and you insisted on calling him Prof.
Yeah, well, that was a gentleman. This is a lady, and I call ladies
Sorry about
more
this,
dignity
Fiona.
Professor. Now, Fiona, what I was going to say is that am I right in thinking that round about the Middle Ages or something like that, about 90% of this country was covered in trees?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, but certainly a lot more than today. They did actually start kind of chopping things down pretty early on, just because trees were essential for everything, for building and, you name it.
Yes.
But the forests are much, much more expensive than they are now.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. So what I'm saying is our country largely, because we're in northern Europe, we've had lots of rain over the decades, the centuries and that kind of stuff. We are a tree nation. And being a tree nation, of course, they form stories in every part of our life. Some of the most romantic stories are members of the royalty fleeing from Cromwell and people like that. Tell us about these great stories and how these trees have figured and are still around.
Oh, yes. Well, one of the best ones is, as you say, Charles, who became Charles II after his father was executed. The last battle he lost, and he was on the run. And the way he escaped was hiding in the oak tree at Boscobel, the Boscobel oak.
Yeah.
And it meant also that the tree had special meaning for him, but when he was invited back to be the new king 10 years later, he made the oak his symbol, and he had everybody waving oak leaves at his arrival in London.
And that is why the Royal Oak is Britain's third most popular pub name, yeah?
That's right. And you'll sometimes see pub signs with Charles II's face in the oak.
Aside from the living trees, there's also the trees that got cut down, I suppose, were very significant because they made all the long bows, did they not, from some of the old oak trees or something?
It was from yew trees, actually.
Oh, yew trees, right.
Yeah, and that's where we lost an awful lot of our yew trees because, at Agincourt, what the English archers needed were these bows that could be made only really properly from yew trees. So loads and loads of the forests were cut down, and also in France as well.
Yes.
So that's why we've lost an awful lot of yew trees, and they take a long time to grow. So it was a bit of a problem once they cut them down.
And was there a direct link between the bowmen of Agincourt using yew for their bows and the fact that cricket bats are made out of yew trees?
Well, cricket bats are actually made out of willow trees.
Oh, willow, right, okay.
That's why they say leather on willow.
Yeah, close,
Yeah.
They don't say leather on yew, do they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's smack of leather on willow.
As you can see, Fiona, he may be as enthusiastic as you are about trees, but
Absolutely.
sadly there's a very large gulf between the knowledge of yours and the knowledge of his.
Don't be ridiculous. How old is the oldest tree, please, in this country, Fiona?
Well, I can't give you an absolute answer because we don't know whether it's kind of 2,000 years or 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Because these are yew trees, and because as they get older, they hollow out in the middle, and then they have this astonishing way of regenerating, so that new roots come down from the crown, and they get covered in bark. So you don't have the normal way of measuring dates. The counting the rings doesn't work.
Right.
So we don't really know. So it's very exciting.
But do we think
they're
that
thousands of years old, not hundreds?
That's what I was going to say. Can we honestly say there are still trees around today which will have witnessed William the Conqueror coming across the Channel and galloping up from the coasts of Brighton and Sussex and Hampshire and this sort of thing?
Oh, yeah, they will have been old by the time William the Conqueror arrived.
Yeah.
They witnessed the Romans.
Yeah.
They've been here a very long time. Some are older than Stonehenge, probably.
That's amazing.
It's extraordinary. And still alive.
And still alive. Can you tell me about one particular clump of trees, please, which has always mystified me? Sometimes I drive to Bournemouth and you go across the top of the New Forest.
Oh, yes.
The only problem I've ever found out with the New Forest is it's called the New Forest, but there don't seem to be very many trees there.
That's just the bit where the road goes through.
No, there's
there's
not.
loads of trees in the New Forest.
I don't think there are, Fiona. What do you say to that?
Well, I think there are quite a few trees, but relative to how many there were William the Conqueror and his successors were galloping around, it's reduced quite a bit, but there's still quite a lot.
I think his son was killed there in a hunting accident, wasn't he? William II, I think he was.
Yeah, he was. The Rufus Stone, I think.
That's right, the Rufus Stone.
You've probably seen that.
I have. There's a sign there when you go down that road.
There's a pub down that way as well, isn't there?
Sorry?
That's why you know it.
Yeah, there is a pub down that way.
You might notice that most of his references are to pubs.
Well, I don't think so. Now, tell me...
And it's a book just about sort of British trees, or did you touch upon sort of other parts of the world?
No, there are other parts of the world as well. There's a whole chapter on the olive, which is a Mediterranean tree.
Yeah.
There's a chapter on the cypress, which is, again, a Mediterranean tree, but is actually found on every continent. And there's kind of references to significant trees in other countries as well.
Right.
So it's kind of got a British focus because I like to go and see the trees myself, and I can't go everywhere. But I am obviously interested in the global sweep, and it's an interesting story actually of how trees move around and how they spread, and which ones are indigenous, native, and which ones have been imported.
That's right.
So yeah, interesting story, but global as well as British.
I think one of the most magnificent sights, Professor, is when I'm sitting on my roof garden of my penthouse, right, and I look over the.
It's not a penthouse.
Excuse me. I look over the.
It's 3 stories up.
Excuse me. I look over the North Downs, and I see the trees swaying in the wind. I always feel to myself, those trees are waving at me. You know what I mean?
It's like after a couple of bottles of Pinot.
No. But you know what I mean? It's almost like you can communicate with the trees. Do you get my feeling?
I do, absolutely. Yeah, I do.
And that makes me always wonder, and this is not a stupid question, can trees communicate with each other through their roots?
Yes, I think they certainly can, and I think there's research on that at the moment, and there's a very interesting book by Richard Maybe called The Cabaret of Plants that looks at that kind of thing. But some trees actually kind of grow up from root systems. That's what elm trees do. They grow up from the roots, so they're all connected underground.
Right. And how far could that extend? I mean, could that extend over hundreds of miles?
Well, I don't know. I don't see why it couldn't in theory. I think in practice it couldn't because there's always people there to chop things down and build things and put in tunnels and roads and all the rest of it. But I think in theory it could go quite a long.
And I mean, in terms, just to sort of ask you a slightly more controversial question rather than all this nonsense that Paul keeps going on about.
No.
I mean, we were talking about the Amazon earlier and about how many swathes of it have been, chopped down, and deforestation has been going on for decades now. People are thinking about trying to replace trees a bit more often now. But I mean, presumably because we have so many fewer trees in the world, it's having some effect.
Oh, absolutely. And I think if we're serious about climate change, we need to be planting more trees. I mean, we tend to feel, sort of a bit indignant about the rainforest, quite rightly, but we tend to forget that we cut down so many of our forests centuries ago. So we also have some responsibility and could certainly be doing a lot more, I think, to plant trees. They improve air quality. Even if you just have a few extra trees in a city, it has a big effect.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Now, for the benefit of my broadcasting colleague, whose antecedents are Scottish, I'm going to read you a little riddle you put in your book. Folklore surrounds every tree. An old Scottish rhyme has it that rowan and red thread hoard witches all in dread.
What?
Very good.
What does that mean, please, Prof?
It means that rowan trees will keep the witches away.
Right.
The witches are scared, and that's why you would often get rowan trees planted outside farmhouses.
Oh, okay.
Or a bit of rowan on a cowshed or something to protect the cattle.
Oh, I see. And what is a rowan tree? I'm not familiar with that.
You will be. It's also called a mountain ash. It's got quite a lot of names, and you actually see them along suburban streets very often. They're quite pretty little trees. You'll have noticed they have rather feathery leaves, and they have lovely creamy white blossom, and then in the autumn, beautiful, beautiful scarlet berries.
Oh, that's great. And they were also used, I'm reading here, to make cradles for babies and walking sticks for the elderly, therefore protecting you at both ends of your life.
That's right. That's
Incredible.
right. So they had practical function because that's what you could do with the wood, but also there was this belief that they had a kind of supernatural protective power as well.
I see.
Right.
Well, that's all
And
fascinating
one
stuff.
reason I wanted to talk about the international situation as well is the Joshua Tree, which I learned...
U2.
was made famous by U2, but I mean, for a lot of people it was already famous. It's in Death Valley in California.
Yes.
Apparently it's dead.
Well, this does happen with trees. This is what's so, kind of sad about them, really, that although, we've been talking about these trees that live for thousands of years, obviously a lot of trees don't. They have a natural life cycle, and they're prone to illnesses, and they're prone to arson, and, just developers, all kinds of things. So there's often something quite poignant about them, and that's why actually reading older books or seeing photographs and things is interesting, because you can sometimes see these incredibly important legendary trees, which we can't see now because they're dead.
And have you got a favourite tree, Fiona?
Well, I think it really depends a bit on my mood because they have such different characters. It depends a little bit on the time of year and also my mood. I actually have a soft spot for the sycamore just because it's so often regarded as a kind of weed when actually it's rather a beautiful tree and grows in places in Scotland that other broadleaves won't really grow. So I'm fond of that.
Right, okay.
Excellent.
Well, Fiona, good luck with the book. I presume it's available in all good bookstores and Amazon.
I hope it is.
Yeah, well, Professor, thank you ever so much for joining us today. I found that very illuminating indeed.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That was a real pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you very much, Fiona. Speak to you again, I'm sure. Well, of course it was illuminated you, because you don't clearly know anything about trees.
That was ridiculous.
You got every question wrong.
No, I didn't.
And you called her prof at one point as well.
Well, there you go.
You dropped your guard.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. That music can signify only one thing. It is, of course, time for the best TV review in the world at any one stage. You may have heard it before, but you've certainly never heard anything like it. Mr. Parry peruses the airwaves, sometimes watches more channels than he can shake a stick at.
That's not the airwaves, though, is it? The airwaves is radio, you see.
Well, no, radio is the airwaves, but so is television.
No, I don't think it is. No.
I mean, by sort of common consent, they're the same.
Yes, OK, fine. Right, now then, I want to tell you about...
I mean, if you want to pick holes in it, that's fine.
No, I'm not picking holes. No, I just want you to get things right. Now, I'm going to tell you about Ripper Street, OK?
Well, one of us might as well, I suppose.
Sorry?
Ripper Street.
Ripper Street, yeah. Now, unbelievably, this is the third series, I believe.
Believe?
It might be the fourth.
Yeah.
Because at the end of...
It's certainly not the first.
It's not the first, because at the end of the show, they said the first three series of Ripper Street are available in box sets.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I might go and have a look at
It's ITV, isn't it, Ripper Street?
Ripper Street? Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
You don't know, do you?
I'm
the only reason I say I think it's ITV, but it might, because I've never seen it on the BBC iPlayer.
OK, it's probably ITV then, OK? So here we have Ripper Street, OK?
Yes.
Excuse me. I was very impressed with the opening because it was Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
It's 1897, and she's sitting there, and they're discussing her 60th anniversary.
You sure you weren't watching Victoria?
No. This was 1897. I checked that that was the diamond. No, what do you call her 60th?
60th?
Is it diamond?
Might be.
Gold in his 50th. Yeah, it was the diamond. Sorry. So as a result of which,
it diamond 75?
No, diamond 60.
Is it?
Yeah. So as a result,
75 then?
75? I don't know, but that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Right.
So as a result of this, then people from all over the world, because the sun never set on the British Empire in those days, came to this country for celebrations in Hyde Park. Okay.
Right.
And it's rather a complicated plot, which I didn't fully understand.
Doesn't sound like anything to do with Ripper Street.
No, it is. What's happened is Newgate.
Well, shouldn't you tell us what Ripper Street's about first?
Ripper Street's about a bunch of coppers in Victorian England,
right?
Who go around
solving with Jack the Ripper, then?
No, but it's. I think the police station is based in a street where the Ripper was at large.
Right, but the Ripper's got nothing to do with it.
Ripper's got nothing to do with it.
Why is it called Ripper Street?
I don't know, but as far as I know, the Ripper's got nothing to do with it. Now, it opens with the unveiling of a brand new police station. 1897.
Yeah.
State of the art.
Yeah.
Guess what they revealed that was in this police station, never been before?
Light.
Telephones. Telephones, yeah.
Okay.
But only internal telephones.
1897.
In 1897. So you could telephone upstairs and say, hello, sir,
well,
Commander.
that's ridiculous.
What?
Isn't that ridiculous?
No, Because you don't have to go up the stairs then. You just pick up the phone.
But I mean, you don't need a phone for internal purposes. You need a phone for external purposes.
Well, this is for
You
internal
need to phone the police station in Manchester.
Yeah, well, that's
You don't
true.
need to phone the guy upstairs.
No, what they did with that is what they did to the police station in Manchester is they contacted them by Morse code. There was a chap there. I'll bring the microphone down. Chap there doing this.
Well, I hope he wasn't doing that.
That's
because that doesn't make any sense.
That's Morse code.
Morse code is dashes and dots.
Yeah, I know. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway. And so it opens with the unveiling of this police station. Yeah. But then we switch to Newgate Jail. And 2 people are getting hanged soon, okay?
Yeah.
One of them is a big, fat, ugly guy with the beard, who I'm sure was the same actor who played...
It wasn't Brian Blessed, was it?
No, it wasn't Brian Blessed, no. I think it was the actor who played the Jewish gangster in...
Oh, in Peaky Blinders?
Peaky Blinders,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it was him.
He's not particularly large, though.
Well, he's wide, big. You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't say
big.
that.
Yeah, yeah. What was his name, by Alfie, was it, or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
From Camden Town.
Yeah, from Camden Town, Alfie, yeah. Ran a bakery.
He was great.
Yeah, he was brilliant, yeah, and very, very specific. Anyway, but he's gone mad, and he's crawling around on his hands and knees in his cell in Newgate Prison.
Right.
They had big cells, by the way. You know all this about, being cramped 3 in a cell to...
Well, this is how they're depicting it. It might not be accurate.
Yeah, and he's painting all sorts of pictures on the wall. And in another cell, there's something really sort of weird going on because there's a woman in there. Yeah. She's getting hanged because she murdered somebody, but she had a child in jail.
Right.
So
what's weird about that?
Well,
lots of women have children in jail.
No, they made a plea for clemency. She didn't get it. But as it unfolds, she's got a husband. I don't know why she's in jail, but she murdered somebody, right?
Well, that'd be why.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. That's right, yeah. So she's got a husband who is an American, what we'd call these days, coroner.
Yeah.
Like, not coroner, but the pathologist.
Yes.
The person who goes to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
And what they do is they find an Indian chap who, sadly, has been washed up in the River Thames. And I'm afraid his throat's been cut and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, dear.
So there's this weird scenario where the chief cop... And by the way, the chief cop is played by the bloke who was in Soldier with the actor whose name I can never pronounce. Who is it?
I've no idea.
Is it Jerome Anderson?
Jerome Anderson.
Jerome Anderson.
No, he's a football agent.
Oh, yes, that's right. It is, yeah.
Jerome Robson.
Jerome Robson. So Jerome Robson, right, Jerome Robson.
Robson Green.
Robson Green, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So Robson Green, who was in, was in Soldier.
He's always playing cops, isn't he?
No, he's not the cop. It's his mate, whose name I can't remember.
Well, the other one.
Yeah.
So not Robson Green.
Not Robson Green.
But Jerome.
Unchained Melody.
Yeah, Jerome.
Jerome's
his name.
I
don't know what his first name is, though.
I kept telling you his name is Jerome.
Well, it's Robson and Jerome with a singing pair.
Oh, I see, okay. Well, it's
Jerome.
It's Jerome.
But I don't know Jerome's first name.
Anyway, he's the inspector cop.
Is it Jeremy?
No, it's not Jeremy Jerome, you idiot. Anyway, I mean, the only time I've ever seen him in anything else, he seems to be in a car driving over the Tyne Bridge,
Right.
But as this is London's East End, there's no Tyne Bridge. Right. So
anyway. Is he a Geordie in it, then?
No, he's not a Geordie.
Right.
No, he's not. No, he's a tough sort of East End copper, you know what I mean? So, anyway, he goes off to find the pathologist who is pretending to be a drunk.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't worked this one out yet. But he goes to his rooms, and as the pathologist hears
was the reception all right when you were watching this on TV?
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah, as the pathologist hears him approaching, he suddenly gets a bottle of gin, throws it over his head, swills it in his mouth, pours it on his chest, and then throws himself on the bed as though he's in a drunken coma.
Right. So he's obviously something to hide.
Well, I'll tell you how it turns out. It's a bit weird. So Jerome comes in.
You have to give away the end.
Well, there is no end yet. It's 7 episodes.
Yeah, but some people won't have seen it
yet. Well, that's not my problem. So he comes in and he wakes him up, from his pretend sleep. Yeah. And then he goes off and he analyses everything. We're talking about Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Well,
this so-called... He's an American, by the way, the pathologist guy. He says, I know where this man... I know this man's from India, but I know where he's been more recently. I've taken soil from his boots, and the only soil in this part of the world on these boots is Hyde Park.
Really?
He says, right. So Jerome goes to Hyde Park to find a battalion of Indian... servicemen there.
Oh, right.
Because they've come over for the 60th,
in
right?
the barracks.
That's right, yeah. And
very clever.
And they find out that the murdered man is the son of the big boss of the Indian regiment.
I see.
Okay?
Right.
So
the plot thickens.
Plot thickens.
Yeah.
Now then, when the pathologist has...
We're nearly out of time now.
No, don't worry about that. When the pathologist has worked out that particular puzzle,
Yeah.
so he's obviously very clever, despite the fact that he's a wino.
Well, he
and
pretends to be, so he may not be.
Well, this is all weird. He then goes to Newgate Jail, and he sits with the very beautiful blonde woman who's been sentenced to death for murdering somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she murdered, I don't know. And then she says, "Have you got the money?" And he said, I've got what I can. He said, "I've given up gambling for you." And
so he's in love with her.
Well, he's her husband.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as well, then.
Exactly, yeah. So he said, "I've given up gambling for you. Here it is." So she counts it, and then she says, "But this isn't enough." He says, "Well, it's all I've got." She says, "Well, in that case, I'm going to die."
Well, what does she want the money for?
To bribe the warder to let her go.
Oh, I see.
So, and this is in Victorian prisons, you know. So he says, "Well, I can't find any more." And she says, "Well, that's it then. I'm going to hang."
So does he take the money back?
No, he leaves it with the money.
Well, he might as well take it back if she's not going to use it.
Well, he might have taken it back, actually. That's a good thought, because then, funny enough, that might be true, because he then leaves the prison.
Well, I would have done.
And after a period of sobriety from very heavy drinking, he then goes into an East End boozer and gets completely lashed up for 2 days, right? Now, meanwhile, some other guy, who nobody explains who he is, walks into the cell and says, "Hello, my dear, how are we? Right, are we sorted?"
Yeah.
And she says, "I cannot find the funds." And they're all speaking like Victorians do. They don't abbreviate any words, So it's not "I can't find the funds." I cannot find the funds.
Right, okay.
What am I to do?
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, if you cannot find the funds, how am I to bribe the laundrymen on their cart tomorrow to smuggle you out?
Right.
How am I to bribe the jailer for you?" She says, "I don't know. I haven't got the funds." He says, "Well, in that case, I'm afraid you're going to swing."
Yeah.
And then he walks out the cell.
All right.
So, and that was about it, really. So, there's a lot of... Meanwhile, the other guy, who's in the same jail in Newgate, who's gone bonkers...
The one you think is from Piggy Blinders.
The one I think is from Piggy Blinders. He's writing all sorts of mathematical puzzles on the wall to prove that, he didn't commit the crime.
And he's a genius.
He's a genius
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. You see what I mean?
So is it worth watching this thing?
Well, there's periods
It
of
sounds
it...
quite complicated.
There's periods of it which are a bit sort of challenging.
Dense.
Bit dense and all that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, in between all this... The cop took the money the pathologist took the money first to a barrister at the High Courts and tried to bribe the judge to overturn her sentence to get her off.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
No.
So he beat up the barrister for being useless, right?
Right. Piece of work, this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now, the last we saw, he's getting through bottle after bottle of gin in some tawdry East End, public house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where we left it. So I think it'll warm up.
Well, it sounds like there's plenty going on.
Oh, there's plenty going on.
That's Ripper Street.
Yeah.
That was Porky Vision.
That's Porky Vision. Yeah. Okay.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show as you won't get through, but you still may be charged. We are the Two Mics, so we're going to Edinburgh on Friday. So if you're anywhere near the Edinburgh Festival, you must come and see us. It's 11 o'clock on Friday night, 11 o'clock on Saturday night, 11 o'clock on Sunday night.
Indeed.
And you can get tickets through the festival box office or indeed through the twomics.co.uk.
You can.
And also, if you look for us on Twitter or Facebook, all the links are there. You can't miss it. In fact, I'd like to thank Jay, who's just tweeted at the Two Mics the guide in which we appear between Twonky's Mumbo Jumbo Hotel and a show called Two Girls, One Mug.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's alphabetical or whatever it is, but it's I must say, it's a great pleasure to be part of what was described yesterday by Lembit Opik.
Yes.
The biggest arts festival in the world.
Indeed.
Or comedy festival.
It certainly has, yeah.
It's tremendous.
Absolutely tremendous.
I'm really looking forward to it. All I've got to do is get my suits cleaned and my shirts pressed.
That's right.
It should not prove completely impossible.
I'm sure you'll crack that one.
I think I will. I'm going to try and crack it this afternoon.
Just been told here by Roy, thank you very much indeed. He says, you were talking about the big, fat and Jewish gangster chap from Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
It is, in fact, Tom Hardy, who's 5'4".
Yeah, well, you didn't say he was tall.
No, I didn't.
You
I
said he was
big,
wide,
big guy, yeah.
But I didn't think he was...
Oh, here we go. Ripper Street.
Yeah.
Guess what channel it's on?
BBC.
BBC 2.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't spend a lot of time watching television.
Yeah. No, do I.
You're the one... Well, you're supposed to. You do a TV review every week.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This is from Jay. You're absolutely right. First thing I looked for in the festival guide when I got here was some bladderation. And you're absolutely right, it's there. The two mic. Oh no, it says the two mics regular music. We're not in regular music, are we?
See, regular music's our promoter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I mean, when we first appeared and it said regular music,
Yes.
people were like, well, you did a music show.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, the name of the promotion company is Regular Music.
Okay, when did they take us on?
They are now our promoters.
North of the border.
Well, they also promoted us in London.
Oh, okay.
And they also promoted us in Cardiff.
Okay, fine. Well, we're good with that then.
Yeah.
Good to
Now,
know that I'm on
how
top
about
of
this?
the contractual arrangements.
CK says it's Jerome Flynn, you planks.
Jerome Flynn, of course it is. Yeah.
Well, why is it Robson and Jerome then?
Robson Green and Jerome Flynn.
No, that would be
Two
right.
Christian names, yeah. Right, okay, now then, I want to talk to you about, the enormous pressure which we're under these days to pay bills in various different ways.
True.
Because you've had a problem,
I have had a problem. Just before that happens, we should accede to a request by Parry, who says, very sad to hear Anthony Jay has died,
Yes.
the co-writer of Yes Minister, worth a mention on the show. It certainly is, because funnily enough,
He was a knight of the realm.
yes, but what a fantastic show Yes Minister was.
It was, yeah.
And last night I was actually watching a couple of episodes.
Oh, okay.
There was a really good documentary on Channel 4 about Trump, which I watched. And then there was, I didn't really want to watch news straight after that. So I found myself onto a Yes Minister thing. And it coincided with the day that he died. But what a brilliant piece of writing that was.
It was Mrs. Thatcher's favourite TV programme.
Yeah.
She thought it was very true to life.
Well, it was.
And I think one of the reasons it worked was there wasn't just one main character. There were at least four very great characters. You know, Sir Humphrey, Yes Minister himself, who became Prime Minister. Paul Eddington. The guy who was his assistant, who became the sergeant in Heartbeat. Yeah. Remember?
Well, the thing about it as well, I mean, I didn't find it, but somebody put out on Facebook one of the clips from it about the European Union while the whole Brexit debate was going on. Right. And it was so apposite. It was so brilliant.
Exactly.
And it was all about how Sir Humphrey was explaining to his minister, you know, why we'd got into the European Union. And he said, you know, well, of course, Minister, you know, we've got into the European Union in order to make sure that nothing ever happens. And he said, really? I thought we got into the European Union because we wanted to be part of the, you know, the European bloc. And he said, oh, Minister, you know, really, you know. We joined all these organisations in order to stop them from doing anything.
Yes, exactly.
You know, we've been doing this for hundreds of years.
Yes, exactly.
You know, we managed to get the French to fight against the Italians and the French to fight against the Germans, you know. And it went on and on and on in that way. And it was just brilliant. Anyway, back to my problem. And it is, I have to say,
well, you've got a lot of problems.
An electricity problem.
This individual one.
I haven't got that many problems, actually.
Yeah, well, go on.
You know. And anyway, go away and hold. Do you remember you might remember I said to you, just before I went away to Mallorca, I said, I've got this sort of nagging feeling there's something I haven't paid.
Yes.
I paid, you know, all the bills that I think I paid. I paid credit cards, this, that, and the other. And as I was sort of flying out, I thought, I'll tell you what I haven't paid. I haven't paid an electricity bill because I haven't got one.
Right.
Right. And of course...
Sorry, what do you mean you haven't got one?
Well, I only pay my electricity bill when they send me a bill.
Are you not on direct debit?
I don't have I deliberately do not have a direct debit because I'll tell you why. Yeah. Whenever I've had them in the past with power companies, they have a tendency to suck money out of your bank account for no apparent reason.
Well, they can just send you one-line note saying we've looked at your monthly payments, they're not enough, we're upping it by £17.
No, but they can do it without saying that, though. I mean, they can literally just do it.
Okay.
And the problem is...
They do it off credit cards as well, you know.
Well, you didn't ever give them a credit card.
Well, yeah.
But sometimes what they've done in the past is, you know, in most cases of a direct debit, it's a set amount every month. And you pay it.
Yeah.
You know, and so, which reminds me, there's another one I have to cancel. But I mean, but with these power companies, they seem to have the power to arbitrarily up it or down it without ever giving you a ring.
So
anyway,
what's happened to you?
So I went away on holiday and I thought, well, they haven't sent me a bill. I'll probably get it when I get back. But so I went away quite happily. A week into the holiday, I was checking my email one morning and I had an email from them saying, final demand, you know, you must pay this electricity bill within the next 7 days.
How many days into your holiday?
About 8 days.
So it could have arrived on the day you left then?
Well, when I got back, I found that the first bill was sent out on the 12th of August, right?
When did you go on holiday?
No, I went on holiday on the 6th.
Right, okay.
Right? So
that's one. So when did they call you?
So hang on, the 12th of August is the Thursday after I left, right? So if they sent that out on the Thursday, right?
The earliest could have got there is the Friday.
That means the earliest it could have got to my place was Friday.
The 13th.
I was away, right? Now, so I get the email on the following Monday, right? Which is approximately 3 days after the
16th,
the bill could have arrived.
Yes.
To say that this is a final demand.
Right.
I then found out when I came home that not only was the first bill sent out on the 12th of August, the second final demand was sent out the next day.
What day is that?
13th of August.
That's a Saturday.
The 13th is a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, yeah.
So they've sent out the original bill on the Friday, On the Saturday, they've sent a final demand.
Yeah.
On the Monday, they've emailed me to tell me that
You've got to pay.
they're going to take one of my children away if I don't pay them within 7 days.
See, what's mischievous about that is you couldn't possibly have responded by the time they sent you the final demand.
No, I mean, if I'd paid them as soon as I got the first bill,
yes,
why, there was no time for them to recognise that.
No, exactly.
Before sending out the final demand.
Exactly. I totally
so they're
agree.
basically sending out the bill and the final demand practically at the same time.
Do you want to tell us which company this is?
It's Scottish Power.
Scottish Power, right?
Then, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way things are. The main problem for a lot of people is if you say miss a final demand payment because you're away on holiday and you can't make it.
Yeah.
That affects your credit rating.
Of course it does.
And it's £100 we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
But my annoyance with these people is that there are other people who are more intimidated than me.
That's right.
And they get very frightened when they see final demands.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Anyway, it didn't stop there. So I got the email, so I went on to my bank account, I paid them.
Right.
That very morning.
You moved it.
So they were paid on the Monday.
Yeah, you moved the money.
Despite the fact that they hadn't sent the bill out until the Thursday before when I was away.
Yeah.
I paid it electronically, as I always do.
Yes.
So on the Tuesday, I get a text from Scottish Power.
Right.
Please pay your bill.
Yeah.
On my phone.
Yes.
Which irritated me.
Of course.
Because one, I'd already paid it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be bothered by people texting me. I just don't want it. But I ignored that. Wednesday before we came out to meet you for lunch. That was the day you came.
Yes.
The phone rang, and it was a London number. It was a Redditch number, actually.
Right, yeah.
So I thought I'd better answer it.
I
don't know who it is. I know you used to be the chief correspondent of the Redditch Bugle.
No, the Birmingham Evening Redditch office, yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Anyway, so I thought I'd better answer it, because it could be work-related, could be two mics related, so I answered it. And it turns out that it was some guy called... I can't remember what his name. It was something like Dilip or something from. He said, "Oh, hello, it's Dilip here from a very Birmingham accent. From Scottish Power."
Yes.
I said, "Why are you ringing me?"
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I'd like to talk to you about your account."
Yeah.
And I said, "Why?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, we'd just like to talk to you about it." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. I've paid the bill that you sent me. You emailed me to say that you were going to take one of my children or something if I hadn't paid it within 7 days. I've paid the bill.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're calling me."
Yeah. Get lost.
"Well, I'd like to talk to you about it." And I said, "Well, look." I had to actually use the F word.
Yes.
I just said,
Did you?
Yeah, just
You
F
didn't.
off. I did.
Really?
I said, "Don't call me."
Yeah.
And he said,
that's a bit harsh.
He said, "When would it be convenient to talk to you?" "It will never be convenient." I said, "Don't ever call me again."
Yeah.
Then F off again.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you were getting rather
Well,
worked
because
up about it, weren't you?
Well, because the whole process of events, and I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Two Mics on TalkSport.
This is a repeated programme, so please don't call the show, as you won't get through, but you still may be charged.